Um, or weekend.
Hey, my name is King, or as some of you might know me better, Israel. I've gotten around, but hopefully you recognize me from my own channel, King Tannic. There's a new show coming to the Burnettwork that I think is pretty exciting. Welcome to the Otaku Experience, hosted by yours truly. There is going to be a weekly series where we dive into the news and the world of anime, manga, and whatever the heck else Japan has to offer us. The show will be pre-recorded and premiere on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Time or 5 p.m. Eastern right here on the Burnettwork YouTube channel.
Greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, Robert Meyer Burnett. I invite you to watch and listen to the Designing Hollywood podcast, brought to you by Martika Ibarra and the great, legendary Hollywood costume designer, Marilyn Vance. I am afforded the wonderful opportunity of co-hosting the show. If you are interested in the magic of Hollywood, the design of Hollywood, the clothes of Hollywood, watch the Designing Hollywood podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts from, or find the video version on the John Campea YouTube channel. That's right, the Designing Hollywood podcast. Why would you ever want to miss it? Especially if you love the movies.
There's a company called Hot Toys, and they make these insanely realistic, renderings of characters. They do them for all the Marvel characters or whatever, and they look so much like you. It's disturbing, actually. Like, scary. They look so much like you, but they're tiny. They're like 18 inches or something like that. They actually that's what's crazy about that company is they hand make the, like they carve the mold. The mold of, thank you, of the.
That's crazy.
It's wild.
Robservations with Robert Meyer Burnett.
Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, the man who doesn't need two mics right now, your master of fun and wonder, your Viceroy of Verismilsuit, call it what you want. I don't care how to pronounce it. You know, we're all goof people here, aren't we? It's Midnight Musings, episode 51. It's another Midnight with Insights. That's what I say, and I just made that up. That's what I titled this stream, because I had nothing really specific to talk about, except I was thinking about Beetlejuice 2. But you know what? If we're going to talk about Beetlejuice 2, I ain't going to do it alone. And there's no billowing in here with me. What we need is... we need billowing. And the only place you can get that is from this little lady right here. You know her. You love her. Her name is... How are you? Look at those earrings. Wow, if they're not billowing, how are they hanging? They're looking beautiful tonight, let me tell you. Yeah.
Hello, Robert. How are you tonight? It's always wonderful to be here on Musings, Robert.
It is. You know, it's another Midnight with Insights. How about that? That's our slogan now. Midnight with Insights.
It is accurate, and there's a lot going on, especially when it does come to Beetlejuice. When it comes to Michael Keaton, honestly, as you know, Robert, I've had to completely readjust my scale, my slide scale on my dating choices, because now all of a sudden men in their 70s are like super hot thanks to Michael Keaton. And, you know, we're seeing time and time again that these older men are bringing it to the plate and then some.
Robert De Niro fathered a child. We found that out this week. God bless that man. You know, I mean, it just goes to show you, you don't have to give up anything. You just keep going. You just keep moving. Keep
Patrick
on moving,
Stewart
as they said.
on as well, right? I think he was older. His wife, I think, was in her 30s. They met at a play. I think it was either something about Gatto, or one of those plays he did in New York a few years back.
And she's a singer. 40 years difference.
That's right. But It's a match made in heaven. I'm sure they're both extremely happy. And Robert, I really have to, the slide rule is just completely, I thought I knew what category it was. Michael Keaton really kind of, I'm just learning so much more about men. I just love it. I just love that I'm learning more about
And we love that you're learning more. Well, to be honest, to not, I mean, hey, look, he looks, first of all, as you know, I've seen The Flash. He looks great in The Flash. And he was in the movie that was it with Maggie Q, the protege.
Yes, I
He
love
kicked
that role.
ass in that movie.
Mhm.
I mean, he was really, really good. So I think you're right. I mean, if you look at, like, here's the thing. I think there used to be this idea that your life, you worked and then you retired and then you lived out your twilight years, but I don't think anybody wants to do that anymore. Like, why, if you can still work and you can still be productive and you can still do things and you've still got the energy to do it, why would you stop? I mean, Ridley Scott's in his mid-80s directing. Clint Eastwood's 92. He's going to make he finally said, I'm going to make my last movie. What is it, Juror number 12 or something? Something like that. I mean, if you're a creative person, and I really, look, I don't know anything about medicine. I don't know. I really don't. But I would assume that because we don't even understand how consciousness works. But I would only imagine that if you think of the human being as a machine, which we are, I mean, we're beings of flesh and blood, but we're also beings of intellect and spirituality and whatever's going on up here, and they have to work in tandem. And if you're there's an electrochemical process happening in our bodies. So there's literally electricity being generated. And I would imagine if you keep the energy flowing, beginning with your brain, that it has to affect you somehow. And certainly all of us, our cells are corruptible, hence cancers and things like that. But even that, I would imagine, keep your body going. And now we found out more about our genetics than ever before. You can now tailor your diet later in life to serve your genetic profile better, which we've never had before. So, I mean, look at Book Club Book Club 2 open this week.
Mm-hmm.
I'd hit those girls. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not with my fist either. Just saying. I mean, Mary Steenburgen,
Yeah. Yes.
married to Ted, or man Ted. I mean, she's hot. Jane Fonda, she's in her 80s. Come on. All that aerobics, those 80s aerobics, that kept her going.
Absolutely. Jane was always fit. She always had a beautiful body. Very sexy woman.
Barbarella, quite Contrella. Put her on the Orgasmatron, Dr. Duran.
But she never had to try. It was kind of like matter of fact, I'm a woman and, all eyes on me. She never tried hard, or in other words, it didn't seem like she was trying too hard to be noticed. She was just a natural beauty, and people noticed her athleticism, just a stunning woman overall through 50 years. She's been turning heads. She's still turning heads. In one article where they talked about Michael Keaton, they said that he can still fit into that bat suit. It's 32 years later. Michael Keaton says that he's still svelte, that he even knows that those abs are maybe not rock hard, but they certainly are where they're supposed to be, Robert. I think it really is kind of redefining. Maybe this is the time for older people. Maybe this is, I always kind of used to joke around and say that if you were in your 40s, they expect you to be like you're 20, but now 70, they're expecting you to bring it. You are expecting to put your best foot forward anyway, but now they want you to be sexy too, Robert.
Well, and that's another thing. I don't think that, we are very ageist in our society, but other, like, Asian societies revere older people. And this idea that why do you have to give up your sexuality just because you're getting older? I mean, I think that's all part of it. You have to hang on. It's really, I think it's a choice. As you get older, you have to choose to hang on to these things. Most people they get tired of it all or whatever. But if you can find motivation and you can still, and look, I got to tell you, I mean, for what I want to do, I don't see that there's a lot of people coming up behind me that are threatening my, like whether I'm a YouTube pundit or making independent movies or whatever I'm doing, there's places to keep going. I mean, there's not, if you have a work ethic and you want to continue striving, please do so. I mean, I think that's the way to be. Because why would you want to spend the last 20 years of your life, like if you live to be 85 or 90 and you retire at 65, I would just think that's a slow descent into decrepitude. Like what do they call it in Blade Runner? Accelerated decrepitude. I wouldn't want to do that. Man, I want to end my life sliding into home plate after hitting a homer with a martini in my hand, that I'm trying not to spill as I slide over the plate. And I get to take one last sip and be like, like Kirk said, it's been fun. Check out. I mean, I wouldn't want to have like some long, slow, painful slide into oblivion. I want to party, man. Come on. Why stop now?
Our most recent, at least my most recent view of Michael Keaton is, as you said in the protege, I reviewed that movie, I think with Catherine, and I might play it on here because it was such a remarkable film. And, Maggie Q is not exactly, she's heavily in motion in a lot of these films. She's an action star who's constantly pushing the limits. And, I was very impressed with not just Michael Keaton's ability to keep up with her, but his cunning ability to keep her interested and, just really kind of, her curiosity was constantly being kind of, I guess, piqued, if you will. I don't know if he's anything like that character, but boy, what a charmer. He was almost like every woman's dream, to be honest with you, Robert. I wasn't expecting to like that character so much. After all, it's a Maggie Q film, and I was like, it's mostly about her. But this really was something I think was very interesting. And maybe it's something that's been lost recently, because in the 40s and 50s, you always saw older men who were like this, who were like, I guess Gary, I can't say his name, Cary Grant, or, William Holden, a lot of older actors who would, kind of meet women, and these women would be sort of mystified by them because of all of their experience, and they still look very, very good. And, and it's like, of course, we're going to be attracted to you guys. But I just thought it was very interesting. Maybe it's a trope that needs to come back. There's so much more to be said about men like this. For years and years and years, we watched noir films with older men too, who, are kind of in these predicaments, and there'd be a femme fatale, and, she could be any age, but honestly, a lot of those noir guys are kind of mature sleuths who had to figure out whether this dame was on, she was never right on the right side, but it didn't matter. He had to kind of resist this woman who was this temptress to him. And it was a lot of fun to watch stuff like that. Maybe this is going to be a direction they're going to go in. After all, that is kind of classic movie styles entertainment. People enjoy it.
Why not?
I think it's interesting to go down there. And with Beetlejuice, gee, Robert, what is their intention for Beetlejuice the second time around?
Well, I mean, obviously, on one hand, you could say it's another example of our bankrupt corporate culture strip mining another beloved IP from 40 years ago. You could say that if you wanted to. Or, as I choose to always look on the bright side, I mean, everyone loves Beetlejuice. And if you think about it, there's kind of an it was about Beetlejuice represented anarchy, I mean, he was Beetlejuice. One of the great things about Beetlejuice as a character was, he represented utter insanity. You never knew what he was going to. Oh, here it comes. I mean, yes. Speaking of that, we, of course, on this show, as you know, it's not a show unless there's all three of us here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You know him, you love him. He calls himself the 1/6 scale man, but we know that he is much larger in stature than that. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, you know him, you love him. Please welcome Lael Rockwell. And he's going off on a Beetlejuice jag. You're just in time. Okay, let me throw this to you before I was gonna be
Monica
snarky.
Bellucci.
That's what I was. Okay, we just were talking about sexuality as you got older. I mean, okay, I don't know about you, but I look at Monica Bellucci and
Oh my God,
dude,
she is. That's all I
Dude.
got to say. I've loved her ever since The Matrix. I mean, the woman is a goddess, bro. Like she's gorgeous.
oh,
She's
when she was
definitely
in like Jan Kunin's movie Doberman, and she was when
gorgeous.
she,
Doberman, yes.
she's married to Vincent
Yes,
Cassell.
bro.
If you guys haven't seen Doberman, I will say this
Yeah.
though. I will say this: the worst thing that I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of. I mean things that you can take or not, things that you can watch or not. There is a movie, Gaspar Noé's movie Irreversible. I cannot watch. There's a 10-minute rape scene where she is just. I can't watch it. It's I literally that kind of violence against women. I can't.
Well, you know what? I felt the same way watching what was it? The what was that movie that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon directed or produced? What was it about the last night? What was it called?
Oh yeah, the Last Duel.
The Last Duel. I couldn't watch that. I couldn't watch that scene. I couldn't. I could not. I turned it off.
Yeah, I've always had a problem with that. But
Yeah, I
not to
can't
bring
watch
down.
those
Let's go
scenes.
back to our worship of Monica Bellucci.
Yeah, let's go back up. Yeah, let's
I
talk
mean-
about Monica Bellucci. I mean, she's Bellucci, bro. Yeah.
I mean,
Sorry,
also she's got.
I'm starting to steal your thunder tonight. But Monica Bellucci.
I
Man.
like to talk about too, and I like to see them nude. No, you're not stealing
Hey,
my thunder.
but listen.
Talk about hot, beautiful women, naked, everything. Let's do it all.
Hey.
Well, I
Y'all-
mean,
y'all- y'all have so much-
it,
Y'all
it's
have
only-
a lot in common. The
we're only-
blowing, everything.
yeah, it's true. I mean, but we always get back. It all comes down to the fucking on this show. Lael loves it. Look, yeah, all I have to say is say fucking. That's FUCKIN'.
That's
We
right.
get down to the fucking, and it puts a big smile on Lael's face.
That's funny.
But
I love to hear men talk about beautiful women,
Oh my God.
especially with admiration. Because
well, wait a minute though. Are you sure you're not? We're not going to get canceled?
No, I love it. It makes it. It's really a wonderful feeling.
Because I don't want to objectify anyone.
You know, she's I mean, I mean, not only just a gorgeous actress, she also deals in a bit of philanthropy.
Yes.
She's done she has I think she has 2 businesses of her own that she's basically started, and also even has producer credits
she does.
credits and a lot of things. So she's brilliant, bro. She's definitely a brilliant. And the thing is, it's like, just when you sometimes, actresses that, you don't hear a lot from, that then they're focusing on something totally different. But it's nice to see her name get that shine again, especially with this movie. I mean, they could have picked a better person because I can see her playing this role.
Well, what I love about it is, they never let her. So often they never let these gorgeous, gorgeous women show off their humorous side.
Yeah.
And if she's
yeah.
now, let me ask you this: if she's in Beetlejuice, is she gonna be an undead foil that's going after Beetlejuice?
Well, didn't they say that she is
I
his
don't know
wife,
what-
or she's playing his wife, or something?
Oh,
like
then
that?
there you go. I'm in. Monica Bellucci is Beetlejuice's wife. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that would be insane, bro. That would be incredible.
I mean,
definitely can't wait
you've
to see it.
got to love. You've got.
Yeah.
I mean, and she's done a lot of really interesting stuff. Like she was in Brotherhood of the Wolf, that I love.
Mhm.
That's, by the way, coming out in 4K. Thank God. And she's done a lot of great stuff, and she's had a pretty great career all the way back to the early 90s. And you talk about somebody that, like, what I really like about her is, again, look, all of my standards of beauty were formed by watching Star Trek, the original series. And I do not mean that in an ironic way. I mean, I'm talking the women in that movie had hips, they had breasts. I mean, and I love my Euro movies from the 60s. Whether it was Danger Diabolic or give me the sirens in Mario Bava horror films or Italian giallo films. I love that and she reigns supreme. You know, as far as a woman that has, and she has not lost her smoking hotness. Is now in its 4th decade on screen.
No.
So
No, she still looks brilliant, bro. She does.
yeah, so I think
And she's sweet as hell. Like
Yeah.
she's really a nice person. Her personality is up there. It matches her talent and just her drive. So yeah, I'm so glad to see her back, bro.
and I just think what great casting for Beetlejuice 2. You know,
Right.
and they've got
Right.
the Wednesday. They're bringing Wednesday in. I mean, she's certainly having her moment. You know, even though the writers that were on the picket lines were making fun of her because she
Is
was
it gonna be Jenny Ortega?
yeah.
Yeah. Why were they making fun of her?
Well, because
I didn't get that.
she had said that when she was making Wednesday that there were things that were in the script that she didn't believe her character would do, so she refused to do them as written. And sometimes, look, I'm not saying anyone's right or wrong, but in terms of what she was complaining about, she was correct. You know, and I think in a way that show kind of discovered what it was as they were making it, and she was so front and center. I mean, look, the dance she does to what is it? Is was it the Cramps? The Germs? Who sing? Is the Cramps, right?
I believe.
Was the Cramp, and that song, and she kind of choreographed it on her own by looking at people like Susie Sue dancing, and I look at what that did. So
it went viral. It was
went
like
viral.
a viral dance.
I mean, you had swimmers recreating it underwater.
Underwater, bro. Like,
Come on.
was brilliant.
It's fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, I would say that was that's a very cool thing. But so, Lael, we were talking when we first started about how people don't have to like retire at 65 or whatever, and that you can, and RM was saying how sexy Michael Keaton is at 70, and you look at him in movies like The Prodigy that he was the protege that he was in with Maggie Q. I mean, that was, and he kicked ass in that movie.
Oh, he was incredible.
Yeah.
I really like that movie a lot. You know, Martin Campbell, who directed GoldenEye and Casino Royale, directed that.
You can tell that Michael Keaton, bro, in general, is just, he's super active. He's still athletic. Like, he still has his youth to him. I mean, I was watching an interview with him on Jimmy Fallon. He was funny as hell. As always, is Michael Keaton. And that's the thing is, it's like, I've always wanted Michael Keaton to get back to his comedy because, man, Mr. Mom.
Dude, Night Shift. His first movie, Night Shift.
Night Shift, bro.
When he played Bill Blazkowski.
That's
bro.
right.
And what was it? Was it Bachelor? What was it? What was the other movie that he was in? Oh man, he was in a couple of different films, but Night Shift and Mr. Mom, bro. Like, I mean, his range. He's been able to show his range for so many years, but it's just rooted in comedy and just him being who he is. Like, he's just a phenomenal actor, bro. But like, he still has, he's agile. He still has mobility, and again, like, seeing him with that never stop attitude, bro. Like, that just lets me know that it's never too late. You know what I mean? It's never ever too late, bro. For real.
No, I mean it Thomas Bertoldi says that I'm the Robservations Beetlejuice. Well, I guess maybe but no, I mean, I think we're seeing that in culture. We're seeing people, and again, I point to Book Club 2, opening, and you've got Jane Fonda, you've got Candice Bergen, you've got Mary Steenburgen, but there's the fourth one. Who's the fourth lady in Book Club? Let's see. I forget, and I'm going to find out right now. So, and that opens, and you look at that, and it's Diane Keaton.
Yeah.
And of course, and you look at these women, and what's really interesting is that traditionally, our culture puts women out to pasture even before men.
Yes.
And now we're seeing that change. We're seeing.
Yeah.
I mean,
what's beautiful about that, bro? Like, because even when we're talking about like just that resurgence of like just iconic actresses who I remember watching like Jane Fonda Dolly Parton and Lily Tomlin in 9 to 5 was one of my favorite films.
Oh,
Back in the day, bro. I love that
dude,
film.
that
Like,
movie is
literally,
43 years old now. It came out in 1980.
bro, and I can watch it every time it's on TV.
It's so good.
I can watch it because it's
So
so
good.
good. So when you seeing like those actresses, getting the resurgence and also like kudos that people such like even now like you're seeing it not just in film, but even on the runway where a lot of models like older models are now getting their chance to shine once again. Like they're catering to all body types, all ranges, age ranges, and stuff like that. And the thing is, it's like when you're watching it, like Jane Fonda still smoking hot, like she's still incredible, bro. I've always loved every film that she's actually been in, and it's good to see it. It's just mainly good to see that they're paying homage to these actresses who have paved the way for majority of the ones that have been in that are coming up in the industry now. And it's just legendary, bro. And I love it because they just still have something not to prove, but just to show that, look, we still got it. You know what I mean? So
Well,
I definitely love that, man.
Yeah, I mean, I never understood. I still don't understand. And we were saying earlier, when Clint Eastwood at 92 is directing a movie, or Ridley Scott is banging out 2 movies a year. Who would have thought that Ridley Scott's going to direct Gladiator 2?
Man, come on,
and
man.
Connie Nielsen's back. Talk about a woman who's woo. I mean, I love
Yes,
Connie Nielsen when
yes.
she was in Devil's Advocate in the mid 90s. Bring her back as Lucilla. Bring it on. And I
Bring
just
it
think
on.
there's no reason why people have to. I know. Look, to be born is to die, but I think that this idea that you have to wind down your life and slowly just as the years go by. Why? Why?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand
yeah.
you have to be careful because your bones are more brittle and all of that, but if you're a cunning linguist, why do you have to ever stop being a cunning linguist, if you know what I'm saying?
And there is something to be said for
And I
having
know you do.
Hey, Robert De Niro.
Fathering a child, man. Fathering a child at what, 80?
Now, let me ask
78?
you a question because that's what I wanted to know because I didn't. So this is to the woman he's seeing now, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Robert De Niro, bro.
Come on,
That's all
man.
I got to
Bobby
say.
D.
Robert De Niro. Bobby D, bro. Bobby laid the D. That's what I'm talking about, bro. Bobby D, bro, did his thing.
Dude,
But I mean,
Okay, here's
that-
what. He's
Yeah,
got a
bro.
51-year-old daughter,
Okay.
and now he's having a new kid.
Yo.
So they're 51. How much older is your sister? 51 years older than me.
51.
God
You know what I
bless
mean?
it, and God bless him.
Body D, bro.
Big Bobby D.
That's what I'm
He's a
talking
dad
about.
at 79.
He's 79 years old, bro. Straight up. When you have a daughter or a kid, but daughter or son, whichever it will be, that will be able to actually come up watching their father's body of work. You know what I mean? Through the ages, 2 years.
Charlie the
They'd be like, "You're
Unicorn's
still
going.
doing it?
Charlie the Unicorn in the chat's going, come on, bro, artificial insemination. Okay, you're missing the point. Don't harsh my
You
mellow
missed-
here. There's no
Yeah,
artificial
don't do that.
insemination.
Come on,
like to
man.
think
Come
it
on,
happened
Charlie.
He's
the
Robert De
natural-
Niro.
Come on, Charlie. Come on, it's
the
Robbie, bro.
old-fashioned way.
That's right.
Old-fashioned way.
When
Straight
you're
up.
Robert De Niro, do you think you stop? No, man.
Come on.
You keep
No.
it going.
Come on, man.
That's right.
Shh, Robbie, light them candles.
I think
Let's
it's
go.
exciting.
That's what, exactly. That's exactly
bro.
what I'm talking about.
Hell yeah. Turn off the lights. Click.
Okay. Here, when Bobby D gets down, what kind of music do you think he plays?
Come on, Teddy P. That's anybody. No, I don't know. Actually, I really don't
See,
know.
I don't know.
I really don't know.
You went to Pendergrass pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's Bobby D, bro. So I don't know, man. He might even play some Twisted Sister.
Well, you never know. I mean, and Bobby D.
Yeah.
Bobby D likes he likes the darker ladies too. So
Yeah,
he might.
Teddy P. That's what I'm saying, bro.
So you might be
Barry
right,
White,
but
Teddy P, Luther Vandross.
yeah,
Who knows, bro? He might.
I can
play
see a little Luther
sometime.
Vandross, but he also might is it Grace Kelly, the funk singer from who's? Let me see. Hang on. I want to get picked up tonight. I want
Grace
to
Jones?
No. It's not Grace Kelly. It's oh God. It's one of the great. Why can't I remember this? It's one of the greatest songs, and she was the girlfriend to Miles Davis for a while. Let's see. Davis girlfriend, singer, Betty Davis. Betty Davis, and let me tell you something. Betty Davis has one of the If you don't know this, if you don't know this song, I'm gonna give you a song that I want you all to go listen to right now. I mean, you can still watch us. Let's see, a song I want to get picked. I gotta figure this out. Okay, this is one of my favorite songs that I've ever heard, and I did not know who Betty Davis was till I watched this Miles Davis documentary like a year ago. Go listen to this song. If I'm in luck, I might get picked up. It is the sexiest, dirtiest, funkiest song you will ever hear, and this is what I imagine Robert De Niro impregnated a lady while he was playing this song. If I'm in luck, I might get picked up. And when you hear this song, it has to be one of the greatest songs of all, at least for me. I mean, everything I love about funk music. I mean, I wish I could have heard Prince play with Betty Davis, because that would have been like the greatest thing ever. So listen to that song. If I'm in luck, I might get picked up. And tell me it isn't one of the greatest songs of all time. Lael, you would just the opening riff. You just have to hear the opening riff, and then when her vocal kicks in, I am telling you, it is one of the funkiest, sexiest songs ever. And I didn't even know who Betty Davis was, and I can't believe. I'm like, I wish I had heard this song when I was in high school, because I would have played it for every girl I made out with at Alki Beach. Swear to God. What are you gonna do? Life passes you by. So
I knew it.
Dude, are you hearing the song?
Yeah.
Dude, tell me that song is the greatest song you've ever heard.
She's a fantastic vocalist.
She's definitely a fantastic vocalist.
Oh my God. And when I heard this, because she really helped Miles Davis, like out of a bad part of his life. And, I'm like, when I heard this song, I'm like, of course Miles Davis was in love with her. When you hear this song, who wouldn't be?
Yeah.
I mean, my God. Woo, yeah. Anyways, didn't mean to derail the chat.
It's
but
not to talk about it.
Speaking of which, the Lakers just sent Golden State home. They sent Golden State home.
For good? They're gone?
Oh, yeah, they're out. Yeah, they're out.
Wow. I love that you're a Lakers fan.
I'm not. I just had money on the game.
Oh. Well, there you go. There you go.
So I'm feeling lucky tonight. I'm good.
You're lucky every night you're with LaToya.
This is true.
This
is true. This is true. This is very true.
You know what's up. You know what's going on.
Is.
So, okay,
Sure do.
but in all honesty, a lot of weird. So we're in the midst of the writer's strike. The first week of the writer's strike is over. They've been shutting down all kinds of shows. Marvel shows have been getting shut down, and man, it's
Daredevil. Yeah, Daredevil. Actually shut. They halted it because of the strike. So let me ask you a question, Rob. Like, so we know that, with most shows that are actually in production, even shows that the script is already done, like it's already basically finished. Even though the script is finished, we know writers cannot still be involved on set, retooling. They can't offer any type of information. Like they pretty much have to be separate from production itself, right?
Yeah.
So, but like for something like that, is it one of those situations where the writer normally, well, the director, we know that the director basically isn't involved in it, but I mean, the directors can also go on strike too. Is that
And
correct?
they very well, the DGA has never struck, but
They could.
they started negotiations Tuesday. So
Okay.
they have begun negotiating. Oh, I guess this was the second week of the writer's strike. Was this the second week? I think it was the second week.
Yeah, this is like the
It's the
second week.
It's the second week. So yeah, the DGA could go on strike, but here's what's like everything else. Everything is being diminished, and I completely understand the entertainment business is totally different than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
The real question is there even anything that the writers can get back? Because the business has changed so drastically in terms of how things are financed. I mean, their streaming shows do not make money. Like Netflix, there's been talk of like when Netflix would pick up a network show. So like when they would sometimes, like Designated Survivor, the Kiefer Sutherland show when he became president, they picked up the series after its second season and gave it a third season. If you talk to the people that were working on the show and it was a network show, they made a certain amount of money. Then when Netflix picked it up, the budgets were much smaller. People got paid less, but they needed the job or they stayed on the show, so they took the money. And how is anyone supposed to make a living wage when you don't get residuals, you don't get anything back? Because a streaming show, its analytics don't matter. How many people watch it don't matter, because all that matters on Netflix only has one model, and that is subscription-based model. So if all the money that they have coming in is only from subscribers, now they're going to start experimenting with ad tiers, and everyone's going to go, well, if you have ad tiers again, that's how network shows were able to pay residuals. Every time a show would air, there would be ad revenue coming in, so they could pay out residuals. But on a streaming show, a streaming series, a streaming platform, there is no other revenue, and so the all of the subscription money is spread out over every show they have, and no one would ever be able to make any money off streaming shows unless they would come up with some, like, one of the biggest shows that was ever on Netflix was Friends, and Friends was like a 25-year-old show. People made that movie, or that TV series was already one of the most lucrative in history. So Netflix paid in 2019 $100 million to air Friends for 1 year, to just extend their broadcast license for 1 year until HBO took it back, HBO Max. Can you imagine? Then the people that own the show, like the actors, everyone who had a piece of that show, they would get a nice payout. I mean, $100 million for a show that everyone's already been paid for 10 times over, that was a nice chunk of change to get. But the writers wouldn't benefit unless the writers had an ownership stake in the show, which they probably didn't.
So this is just basically a space where you have companies that are cutting corners right now, that have been cutting corners now for a minute.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. The revenue streams, everything is different now. TV shows like Star Trek, for instance, used to run 26 episodes a season. And they would sell ads. And when Star Trek: The Next Generation went off the air, it was getting the highest ratings it ever got. And even then, Star Trek: The Next Generation pioneered hour-long dramatic syndication. So it was not on a network; it was syndicated, like talk shows are syndicated, and it would air in different times in different markets. So it pioneered a new format, which was the hour-long syndicated drama, and then Paramount followed up with a new Mission Impossible and all these other different shows. So that kind of changed the paradigm, but they were still ad-based. They're still selling ads. But now they'll do an 8-episode series, a 10-episode series, and a writer might only write one episode. And, you might only get paid, it sounds good, but what if you only made 30 or 40 grand as a writer of a TV show, and that's all you ever got for the year? You might not get another. I mean, you can make more money as a successful YouTuber can make more money than that. And so what is the incentive? the writers are trying to fight for money that doesn't really exist. Some of it exists, but not really. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if there's going to be a solution to this strike because, you have AI coming at us, barreling down the tracks at us. And how is that going to work?
A lot of people that are basically against that are really
yeah. I mean, we're gonna,
that.
but it's it's already here and it's going to become more sophisticated, and I think that we don't even know where it's going to go. But I mean, already, if you're working on a film, there are concept artists that you give them concepts and they paint something for you, they draw something for you. To be a concept artist is to watch your job disappear because of Mid-Journey or DALL-E 2 or any of these programs where you depending on how good your prompt game is, you know how to use prompts. The better off you can use your prompts, the better off you can create anything. And then, but the real question is, so what these programs do is just scrape the internet. They take previously existing artwork, whether it's photographs or whether it's movies stills or whether it's paintings. It's something somebody else, another human being already created. These software programs are just taking all this stuff from the internet, recombining it in new ways. But even the artists are not getting paid. How would you, and unless they can start coding images so people know, like Mid-Journey stole from these 10 images, and they'll know that because each image on the internet would have some kind of an identifying code of some sort. Whoever's going to write that code is going to get a lot of money because even then, how do you, like if I go on to Mid-Journey and say, I want to see what it would look like if Janis Joplin and Taylor Swift were mutated into one singer. What would they look like? Like, how are you going to ever supposed to pay somebody for that? I mean, how's anybody going to make any money from that? I think that's where we're at now. And then the real question is, do you even need writers? Do you even need concept artists? I mean, eventually, Lael, if I want to have, we talked about this, I think last week, if I want to have Dizzy Gillespie play with the London Symphony Orchestra, an AI program will figure out how to mash them up. And suddenly I've got Dizzy Gillespie playing with the London Symphony conducted by John Williams. And I have a perfect example, a beautiful recording that was completely simulated and made up on the internet in seconds. How's that all going to work? And worse, where's the new Dizzy Gillespie going to come from? Is anyone going to pick up an instrument? Is anyone going to pick up a paintbrush? And that's why I've said on this show so many times, I've said, look, I think the greatest currency of the 21st century moving forward is authenticity. People are going to start, in a way, I look at it this way, I think people are going to start valuing human beings
and appreciating
more.
Exactly.
At least I would hope that's where it's going to go. Because at the end of the day, you're going to get a bunch of people, like kids are going to just put in prompts and get their 5-paragraph essays spit out, and they might rework them or something. But anybody that really knows anything, that can opine on something or play an instrument, is going to become, I think, highly prized. Simply because there's not going to be a lot of where's the next generation of musicians going to come from if no one wants to pick up an instrument?
Exactly. And I think the thing is, with something like that, it also hopefully, it forced people to work harder. You know what I mean? To work harder. And again, like when you're threatened by just modern technology, you're threatened by, this AI program, that can, completely take what's here and just lay it out like effortlessly within a few seconds or a few minutes. You know what I mean? When you're thinking about that, it's like it's a slap in the face. Yes, indeed. But at the same time, it's going to force the hand to be more creative. It's going to force you to think and write better. You know what I mean? If you're a musician, to play better. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, is just like, now we're living in an age, bro. Like now it's not a thing to cut corners. It's not a thing to cut corners anymore, bro. It's not. You know what I mean? Especially if you are talented, You know what I mean? Now AI is almost damn near saying you're not as talented as you think, and that's fucked up. To
Well,
be quite honest.
and what's interesting is with algorithms, I mean, music especially is based in mathematical principles. So
Mhm.
once you have music being created by AI and it can recreate, you know, when you feed in every piece of pop music that's ever been written, and it can be analyzed instantaneously by AI algorithms or whatever, and then it can spit something back out at you using mathematics, which is what, you know, great composers do anyway. How is that going to impact us, and how are we going to, like, if somebody says, like, people are making up Beatles songs and Michael Jackson songs and Led Zeppelin songs that never existed before, but they sound like the band sounds, and it's I mean, there's a great philosophical question to be asked: is that real? You
I
know,
mean,
on the other night on the show I was on, I was on with two guys. I was on with Mikey Sutton, and I was on with Zod Ryder, and I said to Zod Ryder, I was showing them how Chat GPT worked, and I said, we're gonna make a Martin Scorsese movie, and give me what it's about, and they threw out the idea. It's about a transgendered woman living in New Orleans who falls in love with a rapper from Compton, directed by Martin. That's all we said. And Chat GPT spit out this entire synopsis of these characters. The transgender woman was, the Chat GPT called her Riley, and the rapper was called J-Rock. And where those names came from, no idea. But suddenly we have this thing, and it was called like Crystal City Blues, or yeah, something like that. And it gave us a title. We didn't even give it a title. Directed by Martin
They
Scorsese.
just created it.
And it created all this, but based on previously existing things. But then it okay, right now, let's do this right now, just quickly. Give me a premise, just a story. Give me an idea for a movie and a director. Just throw it out there. Give me whatever you want.
Okay.
Whatever you want.
How about a female superhero
Okay.
whose her power is that her hair billows constantly, but she's also dealing with alcohol. She's like an alcoholic.
Okay, good. Okay. I'm going to say, okay, let me get this right. This is good. Okay. Write me the synopsis of a film about a female superhero whose hair billows constantly, but is an alcoholic
in recovery or something like that, or
okay.
I would have said has a porn addiction, but
No, we can do that. We can do that. Okay. Write me the synopsis of a film about a female superhero whose hair billows constantly with a porn addiction. Okay. With a porn addiction, who is also a raging alcoholic. But despite all of this, all of this remains one of the world's greatest superheroes. And then who do you want to have direct this movie?
How about the guy who directed Last Night from Soho? What's that guy's name?
It's Edgar Wright.
Yeah. How about Edgar Wright?
Directed, okay, by Edgar Wright.
Okay, that's going to be interesting.
I like his edginess. He's got a little edginess to him, doesn't he?
Oh my God, this is so funny. So ChatGPT says, "I'm sorry, but I cannot generate a synopsis for a film with a character that promotes harmful stereotypes and behaviors such as addiction and pornography addiction. Okay, that's see now. What's really interesting about this now? This is another thing about AI. AI is woke.
Yes,
It's got
got
biases.
it's got
It's now making value judgments into what I just asked it to do.
yeah.
Okay.
But that's kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
It's now because
Yeah.
who's to say that a porn addiction is necessarily bad? Oh, okay, let's regenerate this response.
Sex addiction then. If the superhero is not addicted to porn, let's make the superhero addicted to sex.
Okay.
I wonder if it would generate the same thing.
You will know. Let's maybe if I don't use the word addiction. So, write me the synopsis of a film about a female superhero whose hair billows constantly with a voracious sexual appetite.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. Just don't put the addiction part in there. They,
who also instead of who drinks too much.
Mm-hmm.
Who drinks too much, but is also but remains one of the world's greatest superheroes. Directed by Edgar Wright. Let's see what it says. Okay, I apologize, but I cannot create a synopsis for a film that objectifies or sexualizes women, as this goes against ethical principles and could be offensive to some people. See,
okay,
now
so take
this is really
crazy.
But this is really
insane.
interesting because it is now this chat bot has been programmed. Now, who knows what other biases it's programmed to do? Like, let's call it, what if it leans more left than say right? What if it's more biased toward what if it's more favorable to Democrats as opposed to Republicans? I don't think that's fair. I don't think that the creators of these AI programs should not be making value judgments on what I'm asking of them. I'm trying to come up with stories or conflict, and the fact that people are in fact addicted to these kinds of things.
But it's also telling us that it's not going to include anything with illicit sexual activity, nudity, pornography, penetration, oral sex, anal sex, none of that stuff. Cunnilingus, none of it's going to be in there, because every time you add something like that, it's going to say, well, you're objectifying women or whatever it is. I keep laughing. It's just so ridiculous. That's why we're not seeing nudity or sex in any of these scripts, because these people have been going to this thing, using it to write, say, oh, I have to take out the sex part. I got to take out the nudity part. I have to take out the anal part? Oh, man. All right, that's fine. Just give me the script. They turn it in. It's a writing segment with no emotion, no feeling, no sex, no love. And that's the type of writing we've been seeing.
Well, that's the thing that scares me the most about this stuff, is that the programmers who are programming these AI are their own biases and their own picadillos, whatever they are going to they're going to find their way. Like, already I was just trying to prove a point. What am I going to get a list of which story points are okay? And are we going to go back to the Hays Code where you had to show married couples sleeping in separate beds? I mean, and that's a real problem. That's a real problem. And here I was going to try and have a fun thing with you guys, but
try this though.
Okay.
Female superheroes whose power, whose superpower. Yeah.
Okay. Write me a female synopsis. Write me a synopsis of a female superhero of a motion picture. Okay. And now tell me what is it?
Female superhero whose hair billows, who's lived over 500 years, who loves Mickey Mouse.
Okay.
Just try it. To see what it does.
Okay. Billows, but she's got to want to do something. You got to give me another story point. Like there's got to be.
Who? Okay. Who loves Mickey Mouse but has to save the world from famine.
Okay.
Okay.
Try that.
Okay. Famine. Now, does she meet the man of her dreams doing this?
No, she loves Mickey Mouse, bro.
Okay, that's it. All right.
So she's celibate.
She
Okay.
just loves Mickey Mouse.
So
He
okay,
beats
okay. Here you go. By the way, here's what it says. Here's what it says. The title of this movie is The Mighty Mouse Saver. In this action-packed adventure directed by Edgar Wright, we meet our protagonist, Lily, a spunky and quirky young woman who is known for her billowing hair and her love of all things Mickey Mouse. Despite her seemingly lighthearted interests, Lily is also a superhero with incredible powers, and when a famine threatens to wipe out the world's food supply, she knows that it's up to her to save the day. Joined by her trusty sidekick, a loyal mouse she named Mickey, Lily sets out on a perilous journey to find a solution for the famine. Along the way, she battles evil forces and faces incredible challenges, using her wit and her superhuman abilities to overcome each obstacle in her path. As Lily and Mickey race against the clock to find a solution for the famine, they encounter a cast of colorful characters, including a wise old sage, a band of mischievous fairies, and a group of ruthless villains who will stop at nothing to prevent Lily from succeeding in her mission. With breathtaking action sequences, heartwarming moments of friendship and love, and a thrilling plot that will keep audiences on the edge of their seats, The Mighty Mouse Saver is a must-see film that celebrates the power of bravery, determination, and love in the face of adversity. Dude, I mean, we did not ask this to we didn't ask to put in
create all that
mischievous fairies and a wise old sage.
Wow.
And so let me ask you this. You know, if you're at a studio and let's say you're just a studio executive and you have an idea for what you think a hit movie would be. And you go to Chat GPT and you're like, write me a synopsis of a movie about blah, 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 blah. And it kicks out a synopsis. And then you can keep regenerating it. Like this thing that we just said, add a villain who wants the world to eat only insects. Because it's about famine, right? So then I ask it to regenerate that. So let me see where it says, where it rewrites and what it adds. However, this is what it's rewritten. Lily soon discovers that the famine is no natural disaster, but the result of a diabolical plot hatched by a nefarious villain named Dr. Insecta. Dr. Insecta is a brilliant but twisted scientist who believes that the only solution to the world's food shortage is to force people to eat insects. I mean, basically that's what I told it to do. But then it goes on to say, and there's a group of ruthless henchmen working for Dr. Insecta. So I mean, you can just sit there and do prompts and whatever. I mean, so the writers
just add certain things and it'll re-edit and just add that. Wow. See, that's.
I mean, this is all the most basic. This is the most basic stuff in the world. What you want's more detail, and the more you drill down, you can drill down and it'll keep adding that detail if you know it. So the question is, if you're a studio executive, do you then say to the writers, "Okay, we're not going to use any kind of AI writing assistance"? I mean, how do you get around using a tool like this? Can you get around a tool like this?
You could use it for brainstorming. You can use it to make lists. I mean, I know in researchers, this is not an ideal tool because it has to be original writing. So you can make as many lists or narrow things down, but beyond that, it's not necessarily ideal when you want to write about something that's more esoteric.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
And I did actually try it, Robert, myself.
Did you write the Great American Novel?
No, what I said was write a movie synopsis where a female superhero who is sexually active sleeps with men she doesn't know and saves the world by falling in love with a supervillain.
Oh, what did it say?
It says, I apologize, but I cannot generate inappropriate or harmful content. It is not appropriate to suggest or promote a storyline that normalizes risky sexual behavior. Well, it's not risky if you're having safe sex.
Yeah. And isn't it interesting that Chat GPT just made a value judgment about your lifestyle? You know,
especially a superhero and a supervillain. I thought since they had kind of more kind of different lifestyles than
I
everybody
mean, I
else.
think the reason they did that is so people can't put in their most twisted fantasies, but it makes no. I mean, that's what's going to happen. I mean, did you read what? Well, I don't even want to get into that. It's so gruesome. I can't even talk about it. But the things that, let's just say, things that are appearing on Twitter, what kind of sick shit people are doing and putting on Twitter because Twitter allows it. How they've been putting on animal torture videos lately, which I can't abide by. I mean, how is this? First of all, why are people even making those things? I remember when crush videos were a big deal years ago. I mean, human beings. If there was a real virulent global pandemic that wiped out 75% of the human population, would that be such a bad? I mean, not us. We'd still be here, but would that be such a bad thing? I mean, God, we're terrible. We're terrible people. Terrible, but also lovely.
I think that what it's generating, as we all three of us are noticing, is just very generic comments
Right.
that sound like stuff we've heard before. It doesn't sound original.
No.
And that is also something that is very interesting, is that, in a bind, if you need to make a campaign speech, you could kind of like say, make a speech about this, and this, and it'll throw it together. I know some people who work in law can also use this to generate, long documents. But, for original work, I don't know whether it's ever.
Well, it really comes down to your prompt game. If you know how to prompt things and get things rewritten, I mean, it's just going to, and it's going to get better and better and better and better and better. And, we'll see where it goes. I mean.
And you don't need Chat GPT necessarily to do these prompts. You could probably do it outside of Chat GPT if you had the code, right?
Yeah, and there's going to be other, like Google has, I think Google's version of it is called Bard, like the Bard, like Shakespeare. So it's gonna change. I mean, at the end of the day, though, to just generate ideas and to use it to spitball things. If you're a screenwriter and you're writing an original script and you have an idea, the first thing screenwriters do, they call it a words on paper or a vomit draft, where you basically just write, whatever's on your mind, a vague notion of where this is going, and it literally is you're vomiting words onto a page, but it's a beginning. And then you go back and you start chipping away at it and you rewrite it and all that. This could be very effective as a tool for that. Like you could say, give me a unique car chase scene where you see cars chasing one another in an environment where they're not normally usually in. And just see what it says. Like what would it come up with? Like, I don't know. But that could be some place that you could look into it and use it. The real question is, though, at the end of the day, as all of this AI technology grows and grows and grows and grows and grows and gets more powerful, it's forcing us to ask ourselves, who do we want to be as a race? There's only one race of people on this planet. It's the human race. There's different ethnicities within that race, but there's one race of people. And we better figure our shit out because who do we want to be going forward? And I'll tell you something else. I mean, as much as I'm excited about Beetlejuice 2, and, the funny thing about Michael Keaton is he probably won't look any different at all in the role of Beetlejuice. He'll look the same. The real question is, I wish I could get excited about something new. Like, I'm really excited to see Oppenheimer, simply because Christopher Nolan will deliver us an experience. Yeah. And
I definitely can't wait to see that, man. That looks so good.
Yeah, as much as I think what I saw of The Little Mermaid looked good, they showed us a musical number, one of Ursula the Sea Witch's musical numbers. I'm like, I could see that. And was it Halle Berry? She's great as Ariel. She can really sing. She's terrific. But at the end of the day, do I want to see a live action Little Mermaid? Like, why does Disney have to the Disney brand was built on their animated classics. Why then do they feel the need to go back? And I understand it's a surefire way to make money. Will Smith in Aladdin was a great choice, and I thought he was great in that movie. I mean, who would have thought Guy Ritchie would have had that in him? But he makes that movie, and that movie was really enjoyable, and I enjoyed watching it. But why did that need to get made? I would much rather have had all the money and effort that went into making that movie to make something new and original that I hadn't seen before. And yet our civilization is such that we're so risk averse, and there's so much money. These things cost so much money that at the end of the day, what are we getting out of it? Like, what is it doing to our civilization to remake and reboot and bring back and we didn't grow up. We grew up in every time you go to the movie theater, there was something new and interesting. You know, and sure there was always sequels, but no one ever thought sequels were going to be necessarily good. You know, there were very few sequels in the world that were. And I just wonder what's going to happen to new and original content. And and where are we going to be in 20, 25 years?
Well, what's interesting is that Tom Jr. Jackson went ahead and took kind of what you had in your story, but he removed the sex part. And in the story,
I'm not interested anymore.
he put it in the Snyderverse, and it generated it. And apparently, just has a problem with sex, nudity, pornography, you know, whatever, anything sexual in nature. It finds it as offensive or inappropriate.
Well, that's mature. That's because ChatGPT didn't have to, like, you know, come out of a woman to be here. You know, it does. Like, maybe if ChatGPT understood where it came from, it might have a little bit more sympathy for it.
Yeah. I don't know. It just says a lot about, you know, just the simple fact that we have this tool now. And, you know, this is something that's been it's not even a year old yet at all. You know, who knows what's going to happen next, bro? It's like, you know, that's, you know, this world is, you know, it's less authentic, more artificial now. So they're just going down that road.
Yeah.
Who knows where it's going to end up, bro? Like, literally. Like, I mean, this thing, even though we laugh and we joke about it right now, but it's endangering jobs, bro. Like, it literally
Oh,
it
a lot of jobs. Yeah,
You know
I
what
mean,
so
I don't have proof, but I feel like it has been used for the past 5 years. I don't have proof of that, but
Right.
it feels like it has been used for the last 5 years. The way that the language of the writing that we're getting, the generic nature of the writing, the lack of emotion in the writing, and of course the lack of sex and nudity.
So you feel as though studios have been using this tool for a minute?
Maybe not the studio, but maybe some writers have been
Okay.
submitting, you know, work that they've used. Maybe not ChatGPT, but another kind of generated generic type of writing.
well, I'm sure that they're looking for something like that too. So, yeah.
So let me ask you a question, Rob.
By the way, I just wanted to point out that Neil Marshall, who I know, he directed like The Descent, which is great. Neil Marshall is in fact making an erotic thriller. It's called Compulsion, and he wrote and directed it. And Charlotte Kirk and Anna Maria Sakulka, and inspired by such notable erotic thrillers of the 80s and 90s as Fatal Attraction, Basic Instinct, and Single White Female, Compulsion centers around the dynamically twisted relationship between two women as both become embroiled in a series of horrific murders on the island of Malta. Kirk's character Diana is described as a flamboyant and ruthless thief. Sakulka's Evie as a seemingly innocent young woman with a troubled past and a dark secret. And they're shooting it now. So, hey,
Nice.
let's bring the erotic thriller back to our sexless youth. Unless they're commodifying it. I don't have sex unless it involves money. It's terrible. What have we done to our youth?
So, Rob, let me ask you a question. How long do you think this strike personally is going to last?
Oh man, I think it's going to go on for months. I think it's going to go on for months because I don't see how. Look, you've got streamers that are hemorrhaging money. They've lost billions of dollars, and the Writers Guild is asking them to give money to them to make programming that they're making already that isn't making them money. So it's like, we're in the hole because we're spending too much money to make programming, and you guys want to get paid more for the program that we're making that has put us in a financial hole.
Yeah, they can't justify it. There's no justification for it. They're
No.
not promising anything new. No one's bringing anything to the table. Everything is a reboot. So it's not like they have anything original to bring forward. And they're using, and there's nothing wrong with it, but they are using the writers who are in demand, like Gilroy, and more experienced writers who the studios really want. They're guilting them into standing in lines and, stepping aside. And, I think it's very interesting. I understand that everybody has to stand together, but I also think that a writer of the caliber of Tony Gilroy and his brothers is a different category than maybe some of these other writers who don't have that same amount of talent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and as a showrunner too, when you're a showrunner or a writer, I mean, on TV, when you're a filmmaker and you're overseeing when you go into the edit bay, you're doing rewriting. There's nothing, if you're a showrunner, you're constantly doing writers' jobs of some kind. And I don't know where it's all going to go, but the thing is, these questions though are going to permeate all of our minds for the next 25 years because they're going to affect every business. They're going to affect every single job. And the fact that there's less money being made all around. I mean, the writers want it to be the way it was 30 years ago with network shows. And I understand what they want. But, for me, like as an independent filmmaker, I've never had great, huge commercial success. And I know when I'm making a movie, like when I produced The Hills Run Red, I knew that my fee on that was a buyout. There was no residuals. I knew that it was a one-time fee. And for me at the time, I'm like, well, that's cool. They're sending me to a foreign country. I get to go produce this horror film that I developed over 3 years with Dave Parker. We put our hearts and souls into it, and we were going to make it for $350,000. Now we flipped it to Warner Brothers. And Joel Silver's our executive producer. And we got paid for it. And to me, that's an epic win. Now, can I afford can I bring my family up or pay our bills for a year? No. But for me, I wanted to produce a horror film. I got to produce a horror film at a studio and go live in a foreign country I'd never been to for 4 months. So from a life perspective, that's a win. But I knew it was a one-time only fee. Now, if I had held out for $100,000 more, I wouldn't have got it. And the movie probably never would have been made. So it's a trade-off. I mean, should people just get paid good money up front and leave it at that? I don't know.
But what's also interesting is that a lot of those good shows that we used to know were the ones that had 26 episodes or 22 episodes.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, they're becoming fewer and fewer of those. Is that what we want? Is that what we need to see? Is that what's required to bring a show that is a high quality show? I mean, Andor was good and it was fewer episodes. Is it that the newer model, this model of fewer episodes, is more difficult to write? It has to be a more concise story.
Well, it's also gotten a lot more expensive to just make things. TV shows now like Game of Thrones, you're shooting on location. There's lots of visual effects. So there's no way around the higher production costs. Shows didn't cost nearly. I mean, Star Trek, like think Next Generation or something, was less than $2 million an episode. And now every Star Trek episode's $10 million plus an episode, $12 million an episode. And how do you get around that? And that's true of all TV shows just because of the way things have panned out and everything has gotten more expensive.
Well,
Which is why like certain streaming shows may limit themselves to like maybe 6 or 7 episodes.
Yeah, I mean that's like I watched The Diplomat with Kerry Russell, and I thought it was really, really good. Mostly female writing staff. The creator of the show came from The West Wing, and that show is mostly set in one house. It's a big, giant government state house, but it's still in one house for the most part. They leave a couple of times, but it's damn good. And it was all about actors and story. And I really, really liked it. And I wondered, I was thinking like, wow, I would want, now I want to know what the writer's room was like in that, like how many people worked in it. How long did they have a small room, a large room? How long did it take them to break all the episodes? And I think it's only 8 episodes, but it had a great ending. And I don't remember, but I just want to know, like, where are we at? Where are we going? There's no clear roadmap, and it doesn't seem like we're going anywhere good. Not at least when it comes to the arts.
This is true.
What's
sad but true.
for the horror genre, there have been quite a few horror films that have made a lot of bank.
Yep.
Do they cost as much as, let's say, science fiction and fantasy?
No, I mean that's the great thing about horror has always been you can make it on the cheap. You look at Smile. Smile was a Paramount movie. It still cost $17 million, but it made $200 million.
It's incredible.
That's a huge hit, by any metric.
Yeah.
And good horror, is always because to be alive is to be scared at some point. So everybody understands the underpinnings of the horror genre, and good horror movies make money because people like going. If you provide people a collective experience, going to comedies and going to horror movies are the two movies that are most fun to see with big audiences. The movie coming out that I've talked about that I saw called Joyride, about the 4 Asian girls that are friends that go looking for one of their biological parents. I heard that the original title of that movie was actually The Joy Fuck Club. That movie is so filthy. It is so funny. I think that movie's going to be huge, and I think everybody's going to go see it in the theater because it was a great experience watching it at CinemaCon with a full audience of theater owners because, man, it blew the roof off the place.
Wow.
Just because it was funny.
Yeah,
So
definitely you need that.
It's true.
I would love to see it.
I
I
know.
definitely would love to see it. I mean, I think that, I'm in that space where right now, and we talked about this for, a few years, because I was thinking about this like just a few weeks ago. I'm like, are we honestly experiencing a level of fatigue when it comes to like big blockbuster films? Are we now in a space that we want to actually see more original content, that has a bit more beefier, just substance in it, meatier substance? Not saying it like the comic genre. I mean, because I'm a comic book fan. You already know
Yeah,
that. A
sure.
Star Wars fan, of course, I know that. But like I do want to see, I do reserve space to see films that, even like, whether it's foreign films, more independent films. I definitely want to see Oppenheimer because I mean, it's just, I think it's important for everybody to see that film. But I do crave like more original ideas, original content, and I want to see those things kind of take shape, once again. You know what I mean? Those original ideas that can be successful. You know what I mean? So I think there's a space for it. I just think that we have to be more supportive of it. I mean, coming out of all of this, when it's with the writers' strike and stuff like that, once that it finds a resolve, if it finds a resolve, then I'm hoping that, we can find our way back to that space where all films are, really, and especially right now, the comic book, franchises. I mean, literally, Guardians of the Galaxy was probably one of the last films that I've seen from Marvel right now that I can honestly say that really stayed consistent to the trilogy itself, you know what I mean, and was good. It showed that James Gunn can really, put together a great film with heart, with emotion, still give you the action you're looking for, that joyride, and just, encompasses pretty much everything, but is well written, pocketed, and, to whereas the audience is something that they want to receive. Marvel needs that. And I'm just, we see this from James Gunn, and a lot of people are like, yo, okay, Marvel is back in shape. We're going to see it going forward. Well, James Gunn is no longer with Marvel. He's now with
He's out.
DC. Who knows what's going to happen going forward, with anything, and I heard somebody talking about how, Kevin Feige is now taking the reins to have better control over certain things, which is why a lot of, IPs were canceled and stuff like that, which I don't know. I don't really know how it is. I just hope they can get back to form. Hope that we can get some really, really creative ideas, man.
Look, I do too. I mean, that's why I love that show, The Diplomator. I think that's why people are drawn to shows like Succession, because not only are they great shows, but they're just different. And I mean, even it's so interesting that I think is Guardians is like the 32nd, I think 32nd. Thor Love and Thunder was the 30th, I think, and then Quantum Mania was 31, and 32 Marvel movies in less than basically 15 years. That's insane. That averages out to even more than 2 movies a year. And if you think about that, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing how many of them were good.
Mm-hmm.
As far as, but I have to say that, like, at this point in my life, I don't really care. Like, I love the Infinity Saga. I love Infinity War and love Endgame. I love all that. But the Marvel Universe now is completely inert to me. You know, I haven't seen Guardians yet, and I know that I think I'm gonna really like it. But even that, it's kind of unto itself. You know, it's kind of its own thing, and I don't feel Kang as much as I like Jonathan Majors' performance. Who cares? Like, I'm not invested the way I was invested in a giant purple alien with an iron glove.
You know what? To be quite honest, Rob, and I said this even watching this film, like, to me, like, the High Evolutionary felt more like a threat to me in this film.
I've heard that a lot from people, that he's a great villain.
Literally, he's a great villain that doesn't get, enough shine. Like, he put on a show and was a complete asshole in this film, but literally he was a powerful individual, a very intelligent individual, but was more like cerebral and just really frightening as a character, as a villain than King. I mean, again, everybody was talking about how well Jonathan Majors performed. And yeah, I'm not saying that he didn't, because he did a good job, but he wasn't a threat to me.
And he got
When
defeated
everybody
the
was like,
second
he's more of
time.
a threat. Yeah, and he was like, he was more of a threat, than Thanos was. Hell no, he wasn't. Not even close. In this film, he wasn't. So, yeah, it's just interesting, that you say that. I think a lot of people are starting to feel that way, because even going into Guardians, like, it wasn't something that I had a sense of urgency that I needed to see. I only went because, again, this is something that me and my bros and, everyone we hang out, we actually go to see these films and we critique them at the very end. This is something that we do, that we have that jargon, that conversation. But it just felt like, for me, there's 2 films that are, especially in the superhero genre right now, that the most highly anticipated. One being Across the Spider-Verse, okay, I can't wait to see that, and The Flash. I want to see how that's going to pan out. But those are the only 2 films that I'm literally right now excited for within the comic book genre. And that's saying a lot, because the thing is, it's not like I love Marvel, raised on it. We all were. But at the same time, it's just like, there's still problems that they have to deal with. There's still continuity issues that they have to actually tackle. How are you going to make these things make sense going forward? What is your solid plan? Right now, we know that, Blade has been put on hold yet again. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much going on right now that it's like, you know what? I just feel checked out.
How pissed is Mahershala Ali?
I'd be pissed, bro. I'd be super pissed, bro. Like, literally. And they were supposed to start production soon. They had hired a writer to kind of come in and retool things. And look what's happening now. Like, it's insane, bro. Definitely.
Well, I think that to me is sort of, even the movies that are getting made, the ones that are not tentpole movies, seem rather familiar. I mean, look at, someone asked in the chat about Blackberry. As a matter of fact, Guillaume Lebel says, have I seen, it's a super chats in and says, have you seen Blackberry yet?
A lot of people are saying it's good.
Yeah, I've just before I went on the show tonight, I was listening to an NPR report about that. It's good. And it's isn't it interesting, though, that you have Blackberry, Tetris, and Air, 3 different movies.
And I just got done watching Air tonight, and it was phenomenal, bro. I love that film.
Yeah, but they're all about these products, people who have an idea for a product to innovate something, and they go do it. Isn't it interesting that we have 3 movies that came out exactly at the same, within a few weeks of each other, that are basically about the same idea? Somebody has a really interesting idea for a product. It comes, they bring it to market, it changes the world as we know it, and how come, what was in the water that day that made a bunch of people come up with the relatively same idea? And I really liked Air a lot.
Yeah.
I love it was just fun to watch. It was really entertaining. So, by the way, Tetris was really entertaining too on Apple Plus. I really like that.
I haven't watched that yet.
And now I really want to see Blackberry. It sounds really great. But what I want, I mean, where's the original movies? Like when we grew up, there was all kinds of. Now it's dominated by reboots or sequels and that's the thing that bothers me. Like, where are the original ideas? Well, the studios aren't spending money on them, and even the mini majors, even the storylines that we're getting are just variations on stories we've already had before. And I wonder like what, and it's all market driven, and I get that. But when everyone, I understand Hollywood is risk averse and everybody wants to make money. But at the end of the day, what you're ultimately doing is making an entire art form not deliver an experience that makes it art. Movies are not just about money. They deliver the perfect collision of money, of commerce and art. And without the art part, the rest of movies are going to be kind of meaningless. And if that's the case, then who's going to go see them anymore? I mean,
It was very interesting what you're talking about, because a few years ago, Coda was the #1 film, winning the best, motion picture, best supporting actor, I think best supporting actress. And it was a coming of age story, and it was not, I can't remember whether it was in the theater, but I think it was released on Apple TV or one of those things like that. And, it seemed very unusual at the time. And I thought, things are going to be progressing, but people wanted to see a good story. They wanted a happy story. And I thought this is very interesting to have more of a human interest story to win the awards. And it's an interesting progression from an artistic point of view. It was more appealing to see something like that. It had close competition with that dog film that I can't ever seem to remember that Jane Champion directed. She won Best Director.
Power of the Dog.
Power of the Dog. She won Best Director. That film was I thought that was a very avant-garde film. Definitely different, not an ordinary film, not for everybody, but certainly something unique, certainly artistic. It felt very original. I didn't see another film like that before, nor did I really ever, although Coda's theme is familiar, it felt fresh and new. So we had a great year in 2021 for those films. And I think it is really interesting. I thought that was going to be kind of a shift towards just, more artistic style films that we would be getting. But some of the hampering of this, of course, is the effect of the rules that were changed in order to even qualify.
Oh, don't even get me started about those.
But let's look at this year, where we know that Everything Everywhere All at Once is certainly a very different kind of film.
Yeah, no, it was. But that was an indie movie, that's A24. Yes. The studios, I mean, what are we getting next week? Fast X.
Yeah.
And okay, and they're worried. It's interesting. What I do have hope in the sense that I think the reason, and I'll just say it, I'm going to spoil it, that Dwayne Johnson's coming back in the post-credit sequence in Fast X. I mean, it was on Twitter. People were spoiling the shit out of that, so fuck you, but okay. It was
that already true?
Yeah, it's true.
The Banshees of Inisherin is.
So he's coming. Dwayne Johnson is in Fast X.
Yes, he's in the post-credit sequence.
Son of a bitch.
I know, right? I mean, I wish I was on the John Campea show, because I do believe I said, pay somebody enough money, they'll come back. You can.
Maybe it's time for indie studios right now. Maybe they're the only ones who are going to take chances.
Yeah, I mean, and I hope they continue to. But it's just again, when I see like Ari Aster making Beau is Afraid. Now, Beau is Afraid actually is a very interesting movie. And it's brilliantly made, but I'm like, here he uses his clout. He makes Hereditary and Midsommar, and then he goes and he makes Beau is Afraid. I mean, and that movie didn't make any money, and what's that going to do to his career? And are we going to get? He's one of the most new, vibrant voices working in American cinema today. And what if he doesn't make money? And what if he doesn't come back from that? Robert Eggers making The Northman, $90 million.
I loved The Northman, and I thought that was an extraordinary film, very different, historically significant, culturally significant. But even your film, Robert, Tango Shalom, was, it's not easy to get somebody to say, oh, I'm going to go ahead and make a film like this. It was a culturally significant film recognized by the UN. I mean, certainly it's a film that makes a mark, an indie film. That might be the way to go,
I think it is. I mean, I think that's the way to go. Instead of trying to make these giant blockbuster movies, make movies that are for very little money that resonate with people. I mean, I think that would be fun. The problem, though, is can you make a living while you're doing it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when you make a 5 million or less movie, where's it going to go? How are you going to return that money back to your investors? And that's a big question. So
Something else that's also very interesting about these films is that what I've noticed, Robert, on a lot of these films that we've talked about is how many veteran actors want to be in films like this. Like there's a huge demand. You remember the days where so many of these indie films would have pretty much unknowns in
yeah,
a lot of these roles. But nowadays, there's a strong desire to be in something like this. And I think it's the writing. I think it's the writing. I think it's the storytelling that these actors want to be in and be remembered for roles like this.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I know. I mean it's again, it's just interesting to see where we're going to go as a culture. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where we're going to go. We have wait, where did it go? I just had it. I had a bunch of tips. So people
Ooh.
fired in some tips that I wanted to get to. Our friend Superhero Displays sent in a bunch of tips, and maybe I did something to let me go back to where I was and read these tips. Okay, so our friend, first of all, Anonymous, oh, I guess this was from the last show, but Anonymous said, not sure if this went through. It did go through the other way, but how do you all feel about grading of comics and movies? Well, we talked about that. The answer, I did a stream about, I had Kevin, the comic doctor, talk about grading comics.
Mm-hmm.
And what do I feel about grading comics? I'll just say, like, look, obviously, if comic books are valuable, grading them and giving them a protector as a collector investment, I think it's interesting. I think it's fine if that's what people want to do. And I think that it makes you think about comic books in a different way. But at the end of the day, I think comic books should be read and enjoyed. You know, the idea that you buy a comic and then slab it and put it in a vacuum packed case
Mm-hmm.
without reading it just to sell it because it's a commodity. I mean, you could do that, but I would think aren't there better ways to make money? Like, can't you, rather than being a comic speculator, if you invested in real estate, wouldn't you make more money?
You know, even that right now, though, with grading comics, it's now harder to do and harder to gain from, to
Yep,
be
and
quite honest.
yeah, because the bottom fell out like it was
Mm-hmm.
high up, and then it's sort of
Yeah.
yeah and I understand that because now a bunch of people get involved. Look, here's the funny thing: the reason comic books became or any collectible becomes valuable is because people like it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it always appeals to a niche market. And then when there's value to be found, money
Mm-hmm.
to be made, then all these people that don't give a shit about the project or the property or whatever it is, they just want to make a profit. They'll come in to any collectible market. They'll ruin it. They'll speculate in it. They'll make some money in the short term and then leave. And then it
Mm-hmm.
leaves the collecting community and people like, well, what just happened? And why aren't my toys as worth as much as they used to be? And I get it. I mean, that's capitalism. But I don't think if you expect to make money in the collector's market, I think that's a fool's game. I think you should go buy stocks or municipal funds or bonds or whatever it is. Don't buy collectibles to be an investor.
Mm-hmm.
I've always hated that. I'm going to go buy 5 variant covers of this one comic book because, and it's like, look, if somebody's making 5 variant covers of a comic book, it's never going to be valuable or that valuable because it's probably a mainstream comic and they did it for fun and everybody could get it unless it's a retailer incentive and then who cares? I mean, it's just
Yeah.
a weird it's a weird thing
I mean, we see that in the collecting world right
all
now,
the
and it
time.
comes even figure collecting constantly all the time, man. There's no exclusivity anymore. Like, you know what I mean? You can't look for that. It's like you said. I mean, I think it's for me, it's always been an enjoyment. I mean, I used to get books graded, and then I stopped because I was like, you know what? Where for me, um, where's the value for me personally? You know what I mean? Like, because the thing is, these are personal stories, things that I followed since I was young, and that's the beauty of it. It was never to get in here to like buy, sell, trade, stuff like that.
Right,
You know
me
what I mean?
neither.
It
Yeah.
just, it never was. Like when I was little, I was just reading books, I was collecting comics because, again, I have every comic that I've ever collected, haven't sold one and never had the desire to. You know what I mean? Even some of the graded stuff that I have, I got it graded after I read the books
Right.
and like over time. You know what I mean? So I know the story from front to back. But at the same time, the graded for me was just to have certain things that I can slab on my wall to say, look, these are some of the things that I can show my kids when they get up. This is one of the greatest books that you could ever read. Sorry, you can't open it, but this is one of the greatest books that you could
Yeah, I'll
ever
get you the
read.
trade paperback. It'll
I'll
be
get
fine.
you the trade paperback, a graphic novel, something like this. But this is definitely one of the greatest. But again, it was just always something that was personal for me. Not taking away from those who do that, but it's just never been something that I align myself with. You know what I mean? I just again, it's just the love for the story, love for collecting. We see it again. We see it in the collecting. Now people are getting what they call grails, or they want to call them grails until there's a or 2.0, and then people get pissed off and stuff like that. You knew this was going to happen. That's why they call it collecting in general, because again, you're collecting these figures and stuff like that. There is you gotta separate yourself from but we know that there's a space for it, and there's people who do it for a living. That's fine. I wonder how that's working out now. You know what I mean? But yeah, you just got to be careful. So
So Superhero Displays sent in a 4-part tip.
Wow.
If you want to use the tip feature, you can. It's in the description. Superhero Displays says, "Hail to the holiest of the holy trinities. I asked this question on last week's show regarding what the Trinity felt about season 3 of The Mandalorian.
this is
However,
superhero displays.
yeah. However,
Okay, so
go ahead.
superhero displays. If you can solo me right now,
Oh, hang
you
on.
can see it. If you can see it,
If I can solo you, wait, hang on, hold on. Let me. I will solo you because you asked me to. Here we go. Lael's going solo. He wants his frame to himself. So here he go. Ooh, look at that.
So, superhero displays, the amazing superhero displays, sent me this. He sent me, yes. So he definitely sent me. So here's the thing.
Did
It's
you not
crazy.
have that?
So I never. Here's the thing. Now, Rob. Here's the crazy part. I never had Farm Boy Luke from New Hope Luke. I missed out on it. Tell me how I now have 2 in my collection.
You have 2 of them in your collection now.
I have 2 two. So this is the one that's super, and I love this. Superhero Display sent this. So what I did was I took this belt. This was basically the belt worn, again from New Hope when they actually dressed up as Stormtroopers.
So yeah.
Yeah, and he actually. So I took this belt from the other was because I knew I wasn't going to use it for that, and put it on this one, and it looks fabulous. So shout out to Superhero Displays for sending me this piece, bro. This is a fulfillment, and thank you so much. Also, shout out to my man, Agent Silver Fox Ian, for also giving, he gifted me with one when I was in London. So shout out to both of you, man. This is phenomenal.
Superhero Displays comes through, man. Hook me up with
does.
Thor Ragnarok's, come on. That's cool. He's okay, so Superhero Displays, this is kind of funny. So Superhero Displays says, "What did you guys think of season 3 of The Mandalorian? However, it couldn't be answered, as R&B got hammered and embarked on a 6-hour rant about some bloke called JJ something or other. R&B, your Rorschach figure looks a tad lonely all by himself on that shelf. I could possibly remedy that travesty. How does a signed Brian Boland Rorschach comic book sound to thy king's ear?" Oh my God. Well, I love Brian Boland. That sounds great to my ear. And also, RM, I feel awful that only 2 of the Trinity has received gifts. However, if you or the chat, PGS, etc., would instruct on potential gift ideas I could obtain, how could I remedy this travesty? All right. I mean, Superhero Displays comes through and is asking what. Here, let me put us all back on the screen. Everyone's looking at Lael full screen. Now we're back.
Yeah,
What?
I didn't even know that.
What? I know. I was like, what do you think Superhero Displays can get you?
Oh my God.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean. Come on.
I will get back to him. I'm just so flabbergasted by his generous thoughts. That's so kind of you.
I'll bet you'll get back to him. I'll just bet you will.
That's so kind of you to think of me, and I really appreciate it. And I will let you know. I'm just so grateful that you would consider getting something for me. That is very thoughtful, and I do appreciate your kindness.
By the way, can I just point out, did anyone see there's a third scale statue of Purple Rain Prince coming out?
Yes.
Oh, did you see that face sculpt?
Yes, sir.
Oh my God.
Yes, sir.
Lael, you
Click.
reviewed it on the channel.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm getting that shit.
Sir. Yes, sir.
I'm putting it up on a
Yes,
pedestal.
sir. Yes, sir.
But you know what? Can I just say, we've now had that statue of Prince on his motorcycle I was going to get, and then I saw it, and it wasn't that good. This third scale statue looks pretty damn good. But why is it that everybody has to make Purple Rain Prince? There's so many, I mean, even Hot Toys made different
So many
versions
iterations, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I understand Purple Rain's the most well-known, that iteration of Prince. People see in the movie, but come on. I mean, what about his pantsuit, the blue and cloudy white pantsuit from Around the World in the Day, like the Pop Life video or something? Or Sign of the Times Prince. I'd love to get a Sign of the Times Prince figure.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
so Superhero Displays wants to get you something.
He's very kind, and I will get back to him. I will get your contact information, and I'll let you know.
Shellcrow sends in a tip and says the complaints the WGA has around streaming and its model are things like short seasons, which means no long-term commitment, no residuals, no ad support or syndication. This sounds like descriptions of seasons of HBO Showtime shows. What is the difference? Well, I mean, the thing is, with HBO and Showtime shows, I think that there even was residuals on those kinds of shows, but it's just for streamers, there isn't. Because the thing about HBO is not, the world didn't have HBO, so they would license out their shows to all around the world. And so there was money coming in through those syndication deals. So they would license those, every territory was different. And there's probably some good money to be had there. But now with HBO Max, I don't know if they're licensing their material out. So there's not the income being made. So there are no residuals to pay. So that's really the problem, is that there aren't any. There used to be residuals because it was an ad-based tier, and then you would sell a show to like Italy, and then to Germany, and then to France, and then to the UK, and then to Scandinavia or whatever. And each country would pay a licensing fee. More money was going to come in. So not with streaming services, unfortunately, because they take the world. So, which is kind of a bummer. But what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So we'll see. Jason Love gifted 2 Burnettwork memberships to people. Thank you, Jason Love. And for those of you who don't know, depending on what the schedule is tomorrow, we are going to have a member call tomorrow. Hopefully at 11. I don't know yet because I've got some people coming by to pick up puppies. So, yeah, it's puppy time.
Puppy time.
Thomas Logan says, in 1972, Roy Thomas gave us Space Jesus, who saves the people on Counter-Earth. Gunn gave us Space Moron, who allowed everyone on Counter-Earth to die. Let me guess who that character is that you're referring to, having not seen the movie. Is he potentially a warlock?
That was, you know what? That was, I would say, the low point of the film for me. That was probably the low point and the missed opportunity for me because, I mean, we're talking about Adam Warlock, and I think it was, I already went into this movie thinking that it was too little too late for the character anyway, because of the placement, because of the opportunity missed, because where he could have actually fit. In this film, it just literally, they did not honestly need him. Like, I just felt that they didn't need him, and it was only utilized without really, going into like any spoiler territory. It was only utilized for one particular plot device. that anybody else could have came through and provided. But yeah, I just, it wasn't what I was expecting. And I'm guessing, I mean, there's going to be room, I guess, for this character to grow going forward, but still, man, that it really upset me. It really did. It did. I was like, come on, man. Like, Adam is worth more. You know what I mean? Like, definitely worth more. So, hopefully that ship can be right, and but one thing I can say is they made Drax look a bit better. Like, they
Yeah.
really you got to see more substance with the character. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
By the way, our friend Israel, who does the Otaku Experience, sends in a super chat and says he can't watch this show tonight. He's showing his girl Star Wars for the first time. Have fun, guys.
There you go.
My thought about that is, do you think that he's going to be able to get a proton torpedo into a thermal exhaust port?
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a very intimate night.
I don't know. It's ray shielded.
It's ray shielded. However, I think the shields will eventually go down.
Well, it depends it depends how long the trench run is, really.
Oh, it's a long run.
Is it a long run?
Long, deep, and wide.
Well, what if Darth Vader and his flanking TIE fighters take you out? What if the turbo lasers stop your approach?
He won't take you out until you're completely satisfied.
Is that true?
Yes.
Do you turn off your targeting computer and use the Force? Because that's what I do.
I close my eyes.
You do?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Fire that torpedo. Get it right in there.
Trust the person I'm with. This is about trust, and it is a loving experience.
Wait a minute. We're talking to Star Wars. We're talking about getting a proton torpedo in the thermal exhaust port. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about getting a new lightsaber, Robert.
Oh, okay. That's okay. That makes sense.
I'm in the market for a new Cal Kestis lightsaber.
I don't doubt that you are.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I'm ready for that orange saber, Robert.
God, you strike me as a dark saber kind of girl. I don't know.
I would never push the dark saber out of bed. Let's put it that way.
Okay, neither would I, but in a different sort of a way.
I would never push the dark saber hilt out of the display case. Here, I put it.
There you go. That's how you. That's how you say it. That's how you say it. Rogue Thinker says, "I'm thinking of starting a health company for all ages. Would anyone be interested?"
That's very interesting. I think the focus on health, mental health, physical health for all of us, especially as the fandom ages, is so important. I know in the electronic dance community, there's a lot of talk about 40 and 50-year-old ravers. And why not increase the health and longevity of 40 and 50-year? It's not just older people, but let's say for some people in that category, not me. Why not increase the health and well-being of people in that age category? And many put health first, and we can enjoy the fandom even longer, extend our lives. Let's just enjoy it.
Does that mean I can get pure MDMA again?
Yes, it does. And let's live as long as the characters we watch, who are like 200 years old or 150 years old. Let's live as long as them. We've been emulating a lot of their lifestyles. Let's see if we can make that happen. I think that's a step in the right direction.
I'll take it. I agree. Guillaume Labelle says, "Did I already read this? Hi, Rob. Have you seen BlackBerry? One of my favorites of the year. Crazy to remember those phones used to be everywhere before the iPhone boom. All I've heard, I've like I said, I heard a review of BlackBerry. All I've heard is that it's great.
Yeah,
and I really want to see it.
And that's cardinal sin, right? He's sort of like one of the most prolific science fiction readers I've seen on YouTube. He's always talking about science fiction books and reviewing them and doing streams that are like, I think he does 24-hour streams, Robert, or 12-hour streams. He is incredible. When he starts talking about science fiction and fantasy, Gil is hardcore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Hardcore.
Well, no, it's
Hardcore.
true. He gets very serious about the details, and it's very important to him, depending upon
Hold on.
the science fiction series. He's absolutely committed. He reads the whole thing and he discusses it in detail. It's wonderful to see his dedication.
I like that. I'm good.
Yeah.
Superhero Displays is over here too and says, nasty gal Betty Davis. Also, check your TIPs. Well, I checked the TIPs, and that Betty Davis, I'm telling you, that song, I love her. I didn't know who she was before that Miles Davis documentary, but man, I cannot, and that's just not, it's not just one song, it's all of her work. It's incredible.
Oh, she has an incredible body of work, bro.
Oh, incredible work. She's incredible. But I'm surprised. I mean, I'm pretty up on my music and my 70s music, and I'd never heard of her. I'm like, how could I have not ever heard this? It's so weird to me. I don't know why. I guess it just happens. The Robo Producer says, Rob, Lael, have you guys seen Rabbit Hole with Kiefer Sutherland?
No.
I have. It's pretty good. I'm missing last week's episode, but it's a lot of fun. I would say it's not top tier A-list, but it's definitely like B+. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
I like it a lot.
Okay.
It's good.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Ike3 says, Rob, so humans will do all of the art that AI refuses to do. I guess so. We're going to have to come fill in and do, at least we're going to be doing all the erotic art. I can get behind that.
Yeah. You still need, I think a loving touch to do erotic art. It really is an incredible expression. And the first thing that I always think about is Titanic, how, of course, Jack is supposed to draw a rose, and there's this beautiful, nude drawing of Kate Winslet that is just stunning. I think it's incredible. And there's nothing like the human touch, the human hand in drawing erotic figures.
Right. You love your erotic figures.
Well, the thing is that I think it's such an important part of science fiction and fantasy.
Oh, well, no, no, and it's getting bled out of fantasy, because look, now that's a good question. So, I didn't read all of them, but if anyone was ever familiar with John Norman's Gore series, Gor, it was a very sexually explicit, it was Conan with science fiction and sex in it, kind of. And do you think though that kind of genre fiction, it definitely objectified women, crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentations of the women. That's what Conan says is best in life. Do you think that it's a bad thing? I mean, nowadays it seems like eroticism itself, like if you're attracted to a woman and you feel lust in your heart, now it seems like every man is portrayed like Harvey Weinstein for being a normal, biologically interested male who responds to female stimuli in a certain way. And now we're just all one step away from, being Harvey. And yet that's what people are supposed to be like.
Yeah, there's a disconnect in just normal activity and behavior and interactions, and somehow it's gotten kind of intertwined and vilified, and I think it's unfortunate. To be honest with you, most men aren't like this, so why don't we just come out and say it? Most men aren't doing that, so we need to give men more credit. For the most part, they are protecting us, especially here in the US. I know that I can go somewhere, and if somebody tries to hurt me, usually men will intervene and say, are you all right? There's so many roles that you play as a man. It just, even in my normal day-to-day life, strangers even who have come to my aid. So I think it's kind of ridiculous. I think men need to get a little bit more credit. We can trust them. They're wonderful. So just like, give credit where credit is due. But at the same time, men are going to look at you if you're a woman and they're interested in women. So this is something that I think a woman has to grow accustomed to. I think if you feel uncomfortable with men looking at you, then, you're going to have a difficult time, interacting with men as well.
I mean, I can't help it that I like boobs. I was born and bred to to enjoy boobs. Watching Star Trek, boobs, everywhere boobs. Nichelle Nichols in her exposed midriff costume in Mirror Mirror,
Those costumes were amazing.
and
They
so are her boobs.
they had the wigs, they had the makeup, it was all set. It just looked so amazing. I just love what they did. But that's part of the spice of life. I thought that interaction, people enjoyed that. I don't understand why there's so much animosity around it.
Because it's just another form of how the patriarchy keeps you women down. That's what happens. Let's face it. It is. It's true. But no, it's yeah. We're made a certain way.
And there are a lot of these beautiful science fiction and fantasy stories that have beautiful encounters between the sexes. So I'm a little confused by why it's getting vilified. And my biggest concern is that they are going to eventually pull from some of these different books that people have ignored, and then just remove half of, they'll cleanse it. And, you'll end up with sort of like this watered down story that.
Oh yeah, which is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tom Jr. Jackson gifted a Burnettwork membership. Mikey Lito says hello to you, Rob, Lael, and if the studios release their streaming shows on physical media, there would be dollars for residuals. No, I mean that's a good point. I just don't think it would be like one of the things about the DVD world that happened was they could start releasing full seasons of TV shows where before they would never do that. But nowadays, the sales, as much as we still have physical media, the
It's
sales
just not there.
they're dropping 25%. The marketplace,
And that was my point. Like, to create, straight to, or you release as in physical copies and stuff like that. It's kind of hard, especially today when it's not guaranteed turnover at that point. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like you don't, with most places, like it's crazy how, if you walk into I remember years ago walking into a Best Buy, seeing a whole entire rack full of physical media. You know what I mean? Even walking in Walmart, you would actually see stuff like that, or even Target. Now there's a really small section of physical media that you can actually purchase, but even then, you go back a few months later, you're going to see that same rack with that same material there because not too many people are buying it. You know what I mean? So it's just the turnover for physical media right now isn't as, the in demand as it used to be. Hint, hint, in demand. Yeah, pun intended.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's I don't know. It's a tough space. It's definitely a tough space, man.
It is. Yeah, it's just the numbers aren't there anywhere. The numbers just aren't where they were anywhere they used to be. So that's a problem. Superhero Display says, how about a Return of the Jedi Slave Leia prop jewelry limited edition? It's on my socials. Can you see them?
I'm gonna look at Superhero Displays, and when I'm done with the show, I'll let you know what
I would buy them only because they say Slave Leia as opposed to Hut Slayer Leia.
Yeah.
Al Renshaw says one of the best things about the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise is the music. Never heard some of these songs before. Come and Get Your Love, Dog Days Are Over, etc. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of album-oriented rock stuff from the 70s, and I love it. I've listened to the soundtrack for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 a lot. I really like the collection of songs. It's great. It's good stuff. So enjoyable. It's enjoyable. So gotta love that. Now let me ask you this, Lael. What do you think? Did anything else totally change the pace? I haven't been paying attention this week because I was working on this presentation. Did Hot Toys drop some fire this week or not?
No, not really.
Thank God.
The only thing that they basically dropped this week was Groot. I mean, not Groot.
Oh yeah, Rocket and Cosmo.
Rocket and Cosmo. But I mean, I expected that because we actually saw it in promo photos anyway.
Right.
So I kind of expected that we would see that. But there were no releases. You know what I mean? Nothing in the release space. Yeah, I'm to that point where I started scaling back. Just for financial reasons. Just wanted to kind of just make sure that I'm stacking there and just cutting back on the things that I don't necessarily need. And Star Wars is releasing a lot of heat, so it's just like now I got to kind of pick my space. Marvel, it's not really a necessity for me right now. It's really not. So I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, it wasn't really nothing big this week.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Nothing that really garnished any type of conversation at all. So
It's true. All right. Although I saw that Bob Dylan did get that the when Wu in the suit, the linen suit, and I wanted that figure, and it's
I got the regular Wenwu. It came in this week.
Oh, nice.
So I did get that. I didn't get the one in the suit at all.
Yeah, I need that. I need it. Wow. Tack sends in a tip and says, you mentioned Lawrence of Arabia once on the John Campea show and made me look into it, and you introduced me to my second favorite movie ever made. Castle of Cagliostro is first. That's the animated version, right? Thank you for being so knowledgeable on films. I hope they re-release the 4K. Well, I have the 4K of Lawrence of Arabia as part of the box set, so it's great. Hey guys, Jeff Yerke and Mrs. Y, the Yerkes. I gotta talk to Jeff. I gotta talk to you, Jeff. I've been working on this other project that's consumed me, but now I'm done. Hi guys, greetings from Northern California. Mrs. Y and I have been feasting on Akira Kurosawa's 1940s films. Stunning, they are. Also, Apple TV's Silo is not bad. Live long and prosper. The Yerk Man. I'm happy to hear you say that, Jeff, because Silo is based on these kind of novellas and short stories called Wool, Wool, and Silo is an adaptation of that. It looks great. Have you guys watched it at all? Silo?
Not yet.
Humanity lives in these giant underground silos, and they don't know why they're there, and they don't know how long they've been in them, and it's really interesting. Wow, this is great, but check it out. Sonny Dominguez, the king of squirting. Sonny says, I'm flying to Seville, Spain, as my best friend won The Price is Right. Any recommendations on what to see and eat? I'm hoping to find a senorita to squirt. Sorry, I had to laugh out loud. Keep up the fucking. He says it right there. Well, here's the thing about Spain. Who cares where to eat? The senoritas are exactly where you're. Some of the hottest women I've ever met are in Spain. I'm just saying. I mean, just be prepared. Be prepared. Just bring your A game.
I've never been to Spain once, not yet. But
bring your A game, buddy.
Is the place I want to go.
Come on, Sonny. Bring your A game. That's all I can tell you. But in terms of food, I mean, one of the things I love paella and seafood paella, and it's rice with seafood and sausage and all kinds of good stuff. I really love seafood paella. That's something I really like. And I've had some really good lamb. Like, it's different than any lamb you've ever had, but the lamb in Spain is quite good. And so
tapas. Is it tapas?
Tapas. Going to tapas at restaurants, it's great. Tapas are like a bunch of little dishes. Yeah. But the food in Spain is incredible. The food and the women and the music, the nightlife. And the funny thing, know in Spain that people like go out at midnight. Like, you go eat dinner at midnight and you can stay out all night, and it's great.
Dope.
Zachary Zabali says, I love George Powell's Time Machine. The Morlocks are creepy. Rod Taylor and Yvette Mimay is Weena. Yeah, and the Morlocks are great. I love the Time Machine. I think it's great. Love it. Love it. Love it. It's great. It's a great movie. Totally agree. So we got Fast X opening. We've got The Little Mermaid opening. And then there's something else that's opening this month. Are you guys going to go see Fast X next week?
I probably will.
Yeah, I mean, I love, even though I hated Fast 9, I love the franchise. I have to go see it.
I don't know. If Toya wants to go see it, I'll go see it with her. It's not really something. Like, I checked out, like, literally I checked out of the Fast and the Furious years ago. I mean, I watch them if they're on television or if I see them on streaming properties, but
I understand.
I checked out a long time ago, but, if Toya wants to go check it out, then I'm telling you, I would not be surprised if Gal Gadot shows back up in these films, man. Like seriously, they're gonna bring her back next.
They're gonna bring. Well, they did bring Han back, and if
Yeah,
maybe
that's what I'm
Giselle's
saying.
not
So
really dead.
Giselle, they're gonna bring Giselle back, somehow. It's definitely gonna be interesting to see how they do it.
Although this movie does, I gotta say, it looks cool. Watching the mayhem in Rome. I watched a behind the scenes video of them shooting this stuff in Rome. I'm like, okay. And Jason Momoa looks like he's just tearing it up. So
yeah,
and he's the son of the
cartel.
Yeah, the cartel in Fast Five, which I really love. And that actor, Juan de Almeida, he is Joaquim de Almeida. I love him. I loved him in Clear and Present Danger. Clear and Present Danger is a great movie, and I love that film, and he was great in it. And I love that they made him the villain in Fast Five.
Yeah,
it was great. Loved it. Well, let's see what else, kids. What else do you want to talk about? This is we're supposed to have Midnight with Insight. That's what our new slogan is, Lael. It's Midnight with Insight.
Let me ask you a question, Rob.
Uh-oh.
With the success, or when we're talking about the success, because I want to talk about something that is extremely up your alley right now, because I want your intake on it. So,
like a proton torpedo down a thermal exhaust port.
So, with the success and like the great response off of Picard,
yes,
right? So that's already done. That's done. That's whatever. So do you think now, because it's sort of like, hearing you talk, there's a level of inconsistency when it comes to, from the shows and that we've gotten. Some you like, some you haven't.
Yes.
Are you after Picard? Where is your optimism? Where does it fall right now? That
I have none.
You have none.
No, I mean, I think that Alex Kurtzman and Secret Hideout control the Trek franchise. Star Trek Picard's an anomaly. Star Trek Picard season 3 was an anomaly. And Terry Matalas had an opening and just took it over. And I think the fact that it now, as of today, it's broken into the top 10 of streaming shows twice, and no other Star Trek show has done that. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it was basically Terry came in with his one season. Now, he had advantages. He had the whole Next Generation cast he brought back, but I think he told a compelling story, and they've never made modern Star Trek really. There are certain people that like it, but it's more of an activism kind of a thing than anything else. I don't think people really love modern Star Trek. They like Discovery because they see themselves in it, or they see themselves represented in it. And I'm like, but that doesn't make it a good show. You might see yourself, or see whichever group you belong to, or whatever your personal identity is. You might see that reflected back at you on Star Trek Discovery, but does that make it good? And I would say no, it doesn't. And I have no problem with any kind of representation on a show. When it comes to Star Trek, I want good Star Trek. That's all. I'm not looking. I've never looked at a show or a movie and wanted to see myself in it. I like watching movies about people that are way different than me. I know who I am already. So if I'm going to watch a show, I don't need to see myself reflected back. And people will go, well, that's because that's your privilege talking. You have never had to worry about that. And I'm like, yeah, but why would I want to see? I want to see people that are larger than life. I want to see people that I can learn from, people that I can aspire to. I've never wanted to see myself reflected in media. And I think the thing about Star Trek Picard season 3 that I really love so much was it really emotionally resonated with me. The characters had gotten older, their dispositions and their what was happening in their lives really resonated with me on an emotional level. And I found that show surprisingly emotional. And from that perspective, was it kind of Star Trek's greatest hits? Sure, it was. But it was that way by design. And I think that I really felt something watching those 10 episodes. I thought they did a great job. But I don't think, Star Trek Lower Decks, it's fine, a farcical workplace comedy that just feels like everybody on that show has watched a bunch of Star Trek. I don't believe that it's really exists. Prodigy's all right, but again, it's animated. It's directed toward children, and it's not really necessarily for me, but it's okay. I mean, I love these 3 shorts that the Roddenberry Archive dropped that I did a video about a couple weeks ago or last week, because that's the kind of Star Trek I want. I want thoughtful, intelligent, adult-oriented science fiction that has something on its mind, that goes back and is dealing with problems we face here on Earth, real human problems, but in a interesting allegorical way. That's what I want for my Star Trek, and I don't think I'm going to get it for a long time again.
Okay.
So, as much as that might pain me, but
so you're not in the position. You're not really setting yourself up for that level of disappointment, or whatever comes, you'll be pleasantly surprised if it's good.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I think and that's what I want. I've always ever wanted just things to be good. And what I want to see is I hope there's so many books, science fiction, horror, fantasy novels that should be adapted that haven't been. I'd love to see more of that. Obviously people are embracing great genre fiction, whether it is science fiction, fantasy, or horror, and if it's done really well, I mean, we've all become, like I say, the post-geek singularity. We're all geeks now, all of us, to one degree or another. And that's what I want more of. There's so much rich material out there that no one's adapted, or people have tried so many times to adapt it that there's so much money against a property they could never make it, because you'd have to pay back the $25 million they've already put into developing the movie. And that's a lot of money. And why would somebody want to make a movie if they've spent $25 million developing 10 different scripts and they could never make it work? And I don't know. I mean, but I still want to see, there's so much stuff that's out there that can be adapted.
Okay, so I have another question. One more question.
Uh-oh.
And that's aside from this one. Do you believe that Marvel's billion-dollar run is over? What do you think? Oops.
Oh, you're asking RM.
No, I'm asking you.
Oh, you're asking
both
me.
I'm asking both of you.
Oh,
guys.
I thought you were asking.
No,
both
I
of you
don't
guys.
believe it's over. No, I don't.
You don't think so? So you
No.
don't think the billion-dollar run is over? So you think that they can
they'll
actually
still have movies
return?
that will make $1 billion? Yes, I do. In fact, I think that Guardians of the Galaxy will make $1 billion.
So where is it sitting right now?
I was just gonna say, let me look that up and see where we're at now. So okay, this is gonna be interesting. Let's see where we're at.
Because I mean, we're talking about post-pandemic, after the pandemic. Have we seen, like, films have come close to it? I think did Spider-Man make $1 billion?
Yeah, Spider-Man No Way Home made $2 billion.
But that's for Sony though. That was basically a Sony film.
That's right.
So you know what I mean?
Okay, so it's now been released. It's been out for what, eight days, because today's Friday. So it came out a week ago, 8 days. So it's grossed worldwide so far $384,601,000. Now this is going to be interesting. So Guardians of the Galaxy grossed worldwide, the first one, $773,350,147. So not quite $775 million. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 made $863,756,051. So right now, Guardians 3 is at 384. I mean, I don't know if it's going to make $1 billion, but depending on how much it makes this weekend in all of the markets,
That's right.
it should do well. I mean, it should do something comparable.
They got to get this month right, because with next month coming and the amount of films that are heat that's dropping next month.
Yeah. Yeah, and Guardians has opened in a lot of Asian markets and a lot of other markets around the world. So it's out there, and I'm curious. Okay, so like I'm looking at Guardians of the Galaxy. I want to see how much Guardians made in let's see, Latin America, APAC. That's why it's not there. Maybe Guardians didn't open in China. I don't think Guardians 1 opened in China. No, it doesn't look like it did. So I don't know, but maybe let me look at Guardians 2 and see if it opened in China. It might not have. No, I guess it didn't. No Chinese numbers. I'd be curious to see. Well, we'll see. And so far, Guardians 3, like in the Chinese market, I can't compare and contrast, but it's made 27,792,000.
Okay.
But it's opened a lot in a lot of places. And so it's going to be interesting to see. It opened pretty wide around the world. So it'll be interesting to see where it's at the end of this weekend. I think then we'll know.
I mean, it's still competing with Super Mario, but that's the only other film that has actually made $1 billion.
Made $1 billion.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, we're talking about a franchise that, you know, you said they're in like their 32 films, 37 films or something like that.
32 films, I think.
32 films. So, you know, if we're looking at it, you know, with the amount of disruption that we've seen in detractors, you know, for the IP, it's going to be hard, you know, and I'm not saying that they can't rekindle, but I mean, it's going to really, really take a lot of regrouping to get back to form. You know what I mean? Because, and that's what I'm hoping that they can actually do. That's why I was asking, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, it all comes down to I think that the excitement and the momentum the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been curtailed to a certain extent. I think Thor: Love and Thunder and Quantum Mania were both movies that had the wrong tone for those characters, and I think people didn't enjoy them as much as because they're kind of goofs. You know, they didn't deliver. They didn't deliver what people wanted from those movies. I think Guardians, even not having seen it though, I think still Guardians did. And I think what has to happen I think we were talking about this last week, but you look at the early Marvel movies, they're all about the transformation that the main character has. And Scott Lang did not transform in Quantum Mania. He just went on an adventure and was Scott Lang, was doing what he always did. But when he's first introduced, he's a guy that gets out of prison and he wants to be a father and he wants to reconnect with his daughter. We could all sympathize with that, and that's the journey that he went on, and that's why we watched it. Yeah. Iron Man, the first Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr.'s journey has always been trying to reconcile his need to put a suit of armor around the world after Iron Man 1 to where he is or what does he do, how far does he go with his desires. Same thing with Captain America. You know, he's always looking for his place in the world. We saw his origin. It was so great, but it's all about that transformative character. And in Thor: Love and Thunder, Thor's just a goof. Like, maybe you can say, he learns to take care of kids or whatever, but that's not really, it's all very surface. The story that movie told was not really even about Thor. He was just in it. Whereas Gore the God Butcher, I mean, it would have been really interesting if they'd flipped the script and made Thor a God Butcher after killing Thanos.
I mean, it should have had a much more serious tone, and I think that Guardians 3 has a more serious tone.
Yeah.
And
I'm hoping it does. I think Marvel is only one good movie. I'll tell you what movie's not going to make $1 billion is Marvel's. I mean, I look at that and I still don't understand. They took $1 billion movie like Captain Marvel and they turned it into Marvel's. They gave her 2 TV characters to be in her theatrical movie. I honestly don't understand that at all.
I mean, the only person I can understand them bringing in is, you know, Photon, you know, if, you know, they bring that in because for her relationship to that character. I think that, you know, for Kamala Khan's character, like it needed, I don't know if it was, in my opinion, I don't know if it was film ready yet. You know what I mean? Like if it was ready, because we're just coming off of a television series for only one season, was in the second season, and to bring it into live action now, I mean, you overstuffed, and on top of that, like, this was Brie Larson's movie. It's supposed to be Captain Marvel, and now you're taking a totally different approach. I don't know, man. Like, I mean, like, I try to keep optimism, for Marvel franchise and their films, because I really love them, I enjoy them, but again, if the excitement for me isn't there to go see these movies like it used to. And I just don't know whether or not they can succeed going forward, especially with Marvels, and a lot of their stuff and the drama behind it, scenes is being played out in front of us. So it's just, I don't know, it's weird.
It's weird. By the way, here's some numbers. You want to hear some crazy numbers?
Yeah.
So the here's this is crazy. So for Marvel movies, here's the numbers. The total domestic, this is domestic, the domestic box office for the Marvel Cinematic Universe is $11,508,036,607. The total number of all the Marvel movies released, let me see if Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Okay. Okay, it's up to date. So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is here. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has earned worldwide now 29 billion 84,795,077. $29 billion.
29.
So it's not quite $1 billion average out, but still, that is an insane amount of money.
It's a insane amount of intake, definitely. They're getting busy.
And their average price, the average Marvel movie has made worldwide $908 million.
Yeah, that's not bad.
No. It's sure. I mean, $908 million, that's the average. So every Marvel movie made almost $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
So they're still eating well. Definitely they are. They are. And they know that, again, I think, them taking a slight break on certain films and stuff like that and pushing it out will probably help. Just have to see. Let's have to see.
That is crazy.
It's definitely gonna be interesting to see like how it, how they can do this switch up, man. Because like I said, films that were so underwhelming, as much as I love me myself, and I unapologetically loved Multiverse of Madness. I love that film, and a lot of people didn't. I know that. Thor: Love and Thunder. Yeah, you already know how I feel about that. I'm not even gonna go on a rant about that film, but just the up and down roller coaster of these films, and I'm just wanting them to get back to what they know. So we'll see.
Zachary Zabalia says, Rob, I don't hear you talking a lot about your work on the behind the scenes work you did on Lord of the Rings. I mean, I love the behind the scenes content just as much as the movies. Well, I mean, I talk about it enough. Like I've told the Christopher Lee story a million times. And I mean, the interesting thing is when you're making documentaries, it's a lot of schlepping equipment around, going to places, sitting people down and interviewing them. It's well, how should I call it? It's very sort of blue collar. It's not like some highfalutin art. You got to call people up. You got to schedule interviews. You got to haul lights and camera equipment and sound equipment around with you, and then go interview them. So, and then, when you're editing behind the scenes footage, it takes hours and hours and hours. But no, I loved making DVD documentaries for Lord of the Rings. I mean, I've worked on X-Men 1 and 2, which X-Men 2 celebrated its 20th anniversary last week. I'm like, oh my God. Doing the special features with Dave Parker for that. X-Men, Lord of the Rings, Snow White, Emperor's New Groove, Tron, Fantasia, did I say Chronicles of Narnia, Superman Returns, Star Trek? I mean, I've done a lot of documentaries, and I love it. You know, I love it. It's just,
Mhm.
it's not exactly scintillating conversation. Well, you know, I schlepped a lot of equipment into CBS Television City and set everything up, and then sat somebody down and interviewed him. That's what we did, but it's great. The Robo producer said, "Could Jonathan Frakes direct the next Star Trek movie?" Yeah, he's already directed 2. Why not? I thought he did great on Picard's. You know, he's knocking it out of the park directing. It was interesting. You know, it's funny. I saw him on a I want to say was it the Inside of You, the Michael Rosenbaum podcast, and he was talking about how he would have thought he would have got some more acting roles for Picard season 3, and he's received none. And I found that, you know, it's interesting because the Star Trek actors, especially the next generation actors, they never really got out of the stereotyping that, like, they never got another show where they were leads for a long time. I mean, some of them did certain things, but you would have thought that they would have gotten another series regular. So didn't, which is kind of a bummer. What are you going to do?
Nothing you can do.
So, yeah, let's see what... So, it says that... here's what it says about this weekend's box office. So, it's counter-programming week in movie theaters, with 4 wide new releases trying to lure audiences that aren't into or have already seen Super Mario Brothers, Guardians of the Galaxy, and they want to earn some money before Fast X. Book Club, the next chapter, is the film most likely to come out on top amongst the new releases, but it's probably going to have a third-place finish. So we'll see. Although there are some obvious recent competitors, in particular 80 for Brady, which opened with $12.7 million in February. Can you believe that? We're getting 2 movies in 4 months that Jane Fonda is in. 80 for Brady and Book Club 2. Jane Fonda in her 80s is in movie theaters twice within a couple of months. So that's pretty amazing. So
That's what I'm saying.
That's
the
crazy.
goats.
That's
The
good.
goats.
And then we've got Hypnotic. You know, I want to see Hypnotic. You know, the Ben Affleck
Ben
movie
Affleck film, yeah.
Yeah, I do want to see it. I don't know how it's doing, but I'd love to see it. Who knows? Oh well. So
It
what
looks
else?
pretty good.
It does look good. I think it
definitely
looks
pretty
cool.
good. Yeah, it does look pretty good. It looks like, it's Ben Affleck, man. Like, definitely. I mean, I like, again, I enjoyed Air. I was watching that tonight, and I definitely loved it. I loved the film.
Yeah,
They did a great job on it, man.
I thought so too.
Yeah, Viola Davis. I mean, come on, it's just Viola Davis, so you know how that goes.
Oh my God, she's amazing.
Killed it. She's amazing. at
And
everything.
that was her husband in Air. Like the husband in the movie is her real husband in real life.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, for real.
Wow.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
See?
How cool is that?
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and people love that.
That you can have both of them in the film playing. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It definitely makes so much sense.
And that apparently the crew loved him. You know, they just absolutely loved him. And I love that. I
Yeah.
think that's great.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I hope. I mean, because in my eye, you know, the performances in that film were great. You know what I mean? So I hope we get something from it. You know what I mean? I hope there's you know, some some contention there for, you know, the Oscars, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, and Viola Davis is just she's
Everything.
She's just a beast.
Everything.
She's such a
And
great
everything that
performer.
she does.
She's so has such range. I love her so much.
In everything. Hell yeah.
And she just has a way. She can be both sweet, but then she can bring the intensity where it's like she'll look at you and set you on fire. I love her. I just love Viola Davis.
Definitely, bro. Like, she just has that range. Like, she can be as calm and sweet, or she can just be a no nonsense type of person. So, you know, just so much range in her, man. Amazing range.
Love her to death. So,
Mm-hmm.
and she was great in Air.
She was amazing.
And I love the
in
fact
that
that it was
role.
Michael Jordan who told Ben Affleck
Them
that
that
the
they
only
wanted
yeah
her to play his
yeah
mom. Like literally, that's the only way that they can do it, and he would give them their blessing.
yeah
Yeah, I mean, so that's that. Yeah, that's phenomenal.
and you know when she said that, I'm sure they were like, oh, but what do you
Mhm.
do? Sonny Dominguez says that Desperado is one of my top 10 favorite films. Robert Rodriguez directed Hypnotic with Ben Affleck. What a piece of shit. Uh-oh. The acting, story, and direction were worse than direct-to-DVD movies.
Oh,
What causes a filmmaker's decline in
wow.
quality? Which directors come to mind?
Wow.
Well, Sidney Furie, who directed Superman 4, he kind of fell from grace. You know what? I think it just comes down to if you're really passionate about a project, and I've heard that project, Hypnotic, was relatively cursed. You know, maybe sometimes people have bad days at the office, and I love Desperado. Desperado's great. But, you know, the thing about Robert Rodriguez is all of his movies are kind of gimmicky.
Almost the same, hit
Yeah,
and miss.
you know,
That's
yeah,
definitely
like
what we got out of Big Book of Boba, man. Which was
yeah, and I don't understand things like Once Upon a Time in Mexico. That movie's a mess. But yeah, I mean, I love Desperado, and I liked From Dusk Till Dawn that he made. I thought that was good. It was fun.
yeah.
He's all over the place. Well, I don't know, kids. I mean, I think we're like at the end. We've gone through super chats, and everyone's like tired. I'm tired. I barely got any sleep trying to finish this presentation last night.
You've been up and you've been streaming today.
Yes, I have been up and I've streamed today. I did a show. Yeah, it's been crazy, and I had a really big
Well,
pitch today that went very well.
see, there you
So yeah, like if this were to happen, it'd be crazy. If this
go.
pitch were to proceed, it would be wacky. But it
It
went
will.
really, really well.
It will. It's gonna happen.
I just want to get rid of the puppies. The puppies, I love the puppies. I got a kid flew in from the East Coast to get one of the puppies. I talked to him tonight.
Oh,
Go,
for
hey,
real?
he'd never been to LA before.
And he just flew in to get one of the puppies.
He flew in to get a puppy and he's hanging out for a week, checking out LA, going to see all the sights. I told him I got to take him to Chinese and we'll go see Guardians of the Galaxy in IMAX.
So he came. He's coming to get the puppy. See LA. I mean, that's a great mix, bro. Why not?
Yeah, he came to get a puppy, and the puppies are they're so cute. But now we let them run around outside. And they have to be watched over constantly, and you know they're puppies, but they're great. They're great.
But they're puppies.
But they're puppies, man. And now they're chasing things, but they do follow me like a god. I have to say, I walk out and I just spread my arms, and the puppies come. All the 7 of them that are left here. I mean, others they're
Just run
spoken
out.
for, but
I
they
see the
literally
videos.
they literally swarm around me, and I don't even have
Yeah.
to do anything. And then, you know, then when I sit down finally, they it's like a puppy coat. They just come up. And it's wild because, you know, I've always known, like, animals have always liked me. I guess they sense that I like them, but it's really interesting to watch it happen like that, like to see. Like, what did I do in particular to make these puppies like me so much? Not really much of anything other than I'm very nice to them, and they know that I take much delight when they climb all over me. But it's interesting. I mean, I've often thought, I've said this before, but, you know, we talk about wanting to find, like, if we found a microorganism that was alive on Mars, it would change science as we know it. Like, oh my God, there's something alive on Mars. But when you're like all these animals that exist on Earth, all the biodiversity here, every one of these animals is like an alien creature. And the fact that with dogs, the thing that I always marvel at this is how dogs can communicate with you. Like, they don't know our spoken language, but they absolutely communicate with you through signaling, through the way they bark, which is their language. They don't know what language is, but they absolutely communicate.
Extremely affectionate too, man. Like,
Yeah.
they're so affectionate, bro.
And that's the thing. You look at this kind of, like, they're alien life forms. They're not us, and yet you can communicate with them. And I'm like, how cool is that? And even with 10, the puppies turned 10 yesterday. Even with these 7 puppies now, the fact that they follow me around and I can tell what they're feeling or if they're hungry, like they know to bark at me if they're hungry, like and they know that to come outside in the enclosure area to wait. If they bark inside, it doesn't work. They know now to come outside because they know I'm either in the kitchen or something. And if they start barking, they know that they can get that response from me. They're 10 weeks old and they're doing it collectively. And they all go out and they bark and they know, and the way they're barking, I know they're hungry, which is crazy. And I know it's instinctual and people are like, well, that's just how it, but it's still amazing that you can communicate with a species that isn't even human. And yet, you know, it's pretty interesting.
Well, they become part of the family. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what happens. And Robert,
By the way,
Tom Jr. Jackson has said, and I'm sorry. Tom Jr. Jackson says that there's a super chat from Thomas Logan that he thinks you missed.
You know what? It's funny. It's not showing up here, but that happens sometimes. I will go back and look at it. Okay. Let me get this one since I'm here. Tom Hitchcock is the GOAT says, I just saw Sisu, and it's my current favorite movie this year. An awesome display of Nazi carnage. Inglourious Basterds meets John Wick. Yeah, I can't wait to see that. I haven't seen it yet, but the trailer is fantastic. Thomas Logan says, if Jonathan Majors gets convicted on June 13th, the MCU can actually benefit from it. Feige should dump Kang and introduce Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom can save the MCU. I don't know. I mean, we saw Doctor Doom in the previous Fantastic Four movies. I think it depends how they do it. And
it's something that you got to get right. Like you literally, like we as much as, you know, people, a lot of us want to see Doom. I don't want to see him in the cinematic universe yet unless they're going to do him right. Like literally, it's not a character that is one of my all-time favorite villains. It's not a character that you can actually you can just throw in there. Like there's a lot of substance to him. You know, he's literally, you know, even with some of the stuff that he does, you even find that it's almost damn near a necessary evil. You know what I mean? Because it's for Latveria, for his people. You know what I mean? Number one, also for the love of his mother. You know, to free his mother's soul. You know, from the depths of hell. So, you know, it's one of those things where you have to, like, there's a lot of layers behind Victor Von Doom. You have to get this character right. You cannot bring him into the MCU and get him wrong. So I hope for their sake, you know, if Kevin Feige loves the Fantastic Four as much as he says he does, if he loves these characters as much as he says he does, he can oversee and make sure that these stories are written perfectly. So, yeah, if you're going to bring him in right. If you're, you know, because he has so much potential, but when we start throwing out, you know, well, he could save the MCU, it's all going to boil down to the writing. And I think that it's going to be a collective type of, you know, contribution at that point that can help right that ship and bring it back. To put that on the shoulders of one particular character, we see what happened with Kang. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot. Like this whole thing is crazy. So we just have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Jonathan Majors. I hope he gets exonerated or whatever happens is gonna, you know, come out in his favor. Look, if he did bad things, he should get punished for it. But I hate all this when, you know, not knowing. I just hope, because he's had such a good year with Creed 3, and I liked him as Kang a lot, and I do want the hot toy figure of him. So
yeah, right.
You know, I do want that. So hopefully it'll all, you know, but justice will be done. So, well, on that note, kids, I am going to end this. This is my birthday weekend. You know,
yes,
my birthday's
so
Monday.
Celebrate.
So yeah, I'm going to celebrate tomorrow. We're going to have a membership call starting at noon tomorrow.
Yes.
And yeah, so all of you members join us. That'll be fun.
I'll be finishing this beautiful thing right here.
Oh wait, let me go full.
Tomorrow, hopefully.
Let me go full frame. So
Well, you
people.
can't you can't really see it because it's over here, but it's just my
Ah,
Costa case, like my stand-in for module cases. I went and got a muscle rack. I've built everything from scratch, so you'll get a chance to see it this weekend.
oh, I'm looking forward to that. That's all
Yeah.
right. So, Lael, where
Yeah.
can people find you online?
You can find me on the 1/6 Scale Man YouTube channel on YouTube. We are on our way to actually, I'm on my way to 4,000 subscribers. So help me get there
Yeah,
if you don't
everyone go
mind.
subscribe to Lael right now.
Everybody go to subscribe to the 1/6 Scale Man YouTube channel. Also name the same on Instagram and on Twitter. I don't really use Twitter as much, but you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube. We have Say What Wednesday. We have Uncivilized Scoundrels on Thursday, which is a part of as well. We have Comic Book Talk with Friends on Monday, which is going to be a return of Comic Book Talk with Friends this Monday at 9:15. So basically be there. And we have Collectors Lounge International on Sunday. Don't know if it's going to be this Sunday or not because there's not enough news to really, really kind of
Right.
dive in. But we'll see what we can actually talk
And
about.
it is Mother's Day.
And it is Mother's Day, so that's another thing. Mother's Day, so yes, Collectors Lounge International will probably be canceled this week because it's Mother's Day, but it'll be back next week. But yeah, that's it, man. And also again, Figure Flex Friday, we had that today, so definitely there's a lot going on within the channel itself. So definitely check me out, and I appreciate it.
All right. What do you got going on?
Well, guys, as you know, I have my YouTube channel, Positive Fandom, where I do all the parlay and the fandom. And on Sundays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, I do my Sunday brunch show with Russ. But I also have a friend of mine by the name of Heath Robinson. He's going to be premiering his new book called Goodnight Sword. It's inspired by Goodnight Moon. And he's going to be on the Burnettwork and on Positive Fandom this upcoming week promoting his book. So I have that going on. But also, of course, I have shows with Lorena here on the Burnettwork, Ladies of the PGS at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mondays. Also, Toxic Male Appreciation with her on her Twitch channel on Thursdays. Uncivilized Scoundrels, as Lael has mentioned. Also, other shows coming up like Cat's Corner, which premiered last week, which was a fantastic
That was
show.
good. I liked that. I watched that.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. I'm going to continue with Catherine for the rest of the year. She's got a lot of very interesting views and things to talk about on that show. And I'm very excited to be working with her, specifically with her collection. So that is just absolutely wonderful. And I also have other things too in the pipeline. Of course, every day I live stream Jedi Survivor on my channel. So guys, if you want to see me fall down an abyss about 200 times, make sure you go ahead and check it out on my channel there as well. A lot of things coming up. I'm just so excited for this upcoming few weeks. Later in the month, we are going to be doing a live watch party of Tango Shalom. It's on a Saturday,
Woo!
May 20th. Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. So I'm very excited for that. Also, I'm going to be doing a live watch parties of The Cultist, which is a comedy science fiction show, also created by Heath Robinson from Heath's Geekverse. So we're going to be doing live streams of that. It's a very exciting time right now. Of course, Star Trek Resurgence comes out on May 23rd, and I will be playing that game here on the Burnettwork as well. So there's a lot going on, a lot of fun things. And of course, your birthday and Dieter's birthday are coming up, Robert. So this is a very special
Dieter's birthday is Sunday, and my birthday is Monday.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
yes.
it's a very special weekend.
So we'll be celebrating. We're gonna have a party on Let's Get Physical Media on Sunday.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. And always wonderful to be on Musings every week. So look forward to this show. Had a great time. We are all good people, Tom Jr. Jackson. And
Irene Jobson got one in under the wire, and she says, "What food are you craving right now?"
who you mean me?
All of us. Yeah.
I want a pizza roll. I love pizza. You know those pizza rolls?
Pizza rolls.
They're delicious.
It's Red Letter Media. Pizza rolls.
I
Blink it.
I love them.
Lael, if you could have any food right now, what would it be?
If I can have any food right now, man. Man. What am I craving right now? It's hard to really say right now, man. Because we just had our favorite vegan Indian food today. So, yeah, we had some Indian food today, so that was pretty good. I don't know, man. That's a tough question. I mean, I think that my urge has been satisfied earlier today, so I'm pretty good.
I would love to have Cajun spiced crab from Elliott's on the pier in Seattle.
Wow.
Oh man, it's so good.
Yeah.
And then Dan Candy says, "Happy birthday, Herbert. We are one. We reach." Yes. Don't call me Herbert. Come on, man.
Well, happy birthday to you, Robert, and happy birthday to
Happy birthday. Definitely, man. Don't worry. There's gonna be some birthday things popping off this weekend. So I got you
many
covered.
happy returns to both of you. And of course, see you at the call tomorrow.
Yes. Which I'm gonna go set up right now, and then I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to bed early. No randos tonight, you know. And by the way, I've kind of quit off the liquor. All I do now is I'm not drinking booze. I'm just drinking water.
So you're hydrating.
Yeah, no, I was, I'm a raging alcoholic, but I decide, when I want to work out, I've just decided to quit. You quit drinking. To work out is to not. You can't have alcohol when you work out. And I figure, getting older, I want to drop 50 pounds. Just get tight again,
Ooh.
like Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver, but not be that crazy.
Oh, or Michael Keaton.
You're
into that bat suit 30-something years later, Robert.
Yeah, man, I got to get myself into fighting shape because you just never know when you're going to stumble into something that you need to be ready to stumble into, if you know what I'm saying.
That's right.
That requires,
We talked about getting in shape again, why have a gut when you can have a nice six-pack, right?
Absolutely.
This is true.
That's right.
This is definitely
Time
true.
to take those shirts off, gentlemen.
Yeah, got to get the guns back. I have good guns when they're no reason at my age I can't do it again. I mean, one day Irene Jobson's going to be like, "So take off your shirt," and I'll have to be able to make sure that I have to be able to do it and have her go.
There you go.
Exactly. Even as a in the 50s, man, you can make it work. So, and on that note, kids, I'm going to say goodnight to the two of you. It was fun, a good show, and we will see you later.
Bye.
That was good. All right, kids, I will bid you farewell. And that was a great time, great show. So for all of you people who hoped I would, bring all the randos in tonight, can't do that. Last week we had a lot of fun. Retro Nerd Girl, that was a lot of fun. But anyway, thank you all for being here. I want to thank everybody for generously supporting the channel via Super Chats and tips and memberships. That's very nice of you. I want to thank our great moderating staff, people like Tom Jr. Jackson, and because he is the Goof Emeritus. S. Beam is here. All those people. So, yeah. And on that note, kids, I'm going to say, remember, every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. And all you have to do is listen. By the way, hopefully, I haven't found out from them. I think we're going to have another Lana Ewan reviews this week. Maybe tomorrow. Be my birthday edition. Hope so. I love her work. We'll see. It'll be here. I know. So you guys have a good, very good night.